like connect here. I'm gonna get my chat rooms pulled up and alert my Discord and do all that fun stuff.
So this is live now, and then you're just like notifying all the awesome people.
Yes. Yeah, I'm just gonna let my Discord people know that I'm live.
Mm.
And then I have to make sure Restream set up my stream correctly because it doesn't always do that, which is super cool. Love that about it. Like providing such a great resource.
Is that like
Um
a platform? Is that platform specific as an issue, or is that more like OBS related?
I have no idea. I just assume that it's just Restream sucks and yeah, but I don't really know. All right. Um so let me scooch us over a little bit to make room for chat, which should be live. And I'm just almost done here. I just got to pop out my chat so I can see alert. It's probably like honestly I'm curious about how many people are going to show up because this is such an unusual stream time for me. Like I never stream this early. So I wonder I wonder. Oh, I got to move these over just a little bit. Hello, Turtlebird, welcome. And Pro Hobbyist, welcome. Happy to see some people pop in. Um, yeah, we're doing a stream here. This is like the first sort of like episode of the podcast, but not yet, sort of. Like this is the preview of it. Um, hello Sputnik, welcome. So joining me is Bree from Trans Unity Coalition. So
Hello.
yes.
I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to get things started. I am going to be probably new to most of the audience here as a human being, so therefore, thank you for being patient with dealing with me. But no, this is really fun. I think more works like this are needed out there. I'm happy to be part of it to see what could really come of that. If there's any time at all that I sound terrible, or if it sounds like a technical issue, please feel free to either point it out to one of us, or we might just kind of notice along the way. But there's a very much ad hoc production setup on my own point of view here. So apologies
Yeah,
for that.
we're this might not be perfect, but we are doing this as we go. Like this is just what we're just giving it the good old try or whatever. And we'll if it's not perfect, that's fine and we'll make it better as we go and it's cool. But I'm excited for this. It's going to be, you know, a podcast by trans people for people, I suppose, but also mostly for trans people, you know. And yeah, I made a post talking about the like I just discussing the podcast potential thing happening and asking for whether people had any suggestions for things to talk about or whatever. So I did get some responses there. And so what we're going to try to do, I guess, is have like a serious half and like a fun half. Um, so there will be like the topic of the podcast, which, you know, each time there will be like some kind of topic or whatever. And then after we finish talking about that, there will be a fun half. Now the interesting thing about this is that we are going to try to make it so that like I will be here most of the time as a host and Bree will be here sometimes as a like a co-host or guest or however you want to view it. And then we will have other guests on, you know. So it'll just be kind of like there will be reoccurring guests, but there will be new guests, there will be one-time guests, there will be guests. And so yeah, and then every now and then maybe I will have a little bit of a break and someone will take over my hosting spot so I can, have some time off of it as we go along here. But this is going to be very much like as we go kind of thing. So like if you're watching this and you want to be involved with this and you want to be like a guest or you want to be involved in some sort of capacity, like if you don't have to be like a super special somebody or whatever. Like if you're an activist, if you're just, a trans person with an interesting perspective or with whatever, an artist, whatever, I don't care. Like there are so many different kinds of people that I would love to talk to and that I would love to platform on my community YouTube channel, whatever. So just reach out to me. You can find me on my Discord or you can email me. I'm pretty sure my email is listed on my YouTube channel. I will check after this to make sure. But yeah, feel free to contact me or Bree, Trans Unity Coalition. Probably not her as much because she's very busy and I'm sort of taking the main host role, so it's probably more gonna be me. But yes, hello people. There's a couple people in chat. M68, Rusty, and Andrew. Hello people. Welcome. Happy to see some people in here. I know it's a weird time for me to stream, but we are here anyway, and we're gonna do this. We're gonna give it a good go here, I suppose. Yeah, I mean I'm probably gonna just have this as a part of the a part of it, like the video or whatever. And we'll just yeah, I mean, I might cut something out if it's weird or if it, needs to be cut out, but I feel like for the most part this is going to be a stream of consciousness stream between the two of us. Uh
I think
so
it'll go great. I think that the issues will be easily outweighed by the value and the experience, and I very much hope that this is as rewarding for a participating audience as well, because, like, the show isn't really about us, right? It's about our needs, our community, human beings out there, and I actually would challenge the notion that there are special nobodies, or there are unspecial bodies here because everyone is a special somebody. So I feel that you breaking the fourth wall, and then I point at the camera and then spook people, and then they actually disconnect. So we don't want that. But you, the audience, you are full of so much more value and potential than you can realize, because I know that that's true about me too, and that's part of the human experience. Never forget that.
yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, I mean there are everyone's got their own special perspective and unique point of view for having lived their own life and been their own person, and it's all valuable. It's all valuable. Um but yeah, that's one thing that I think will be exciting about this is just having a wide variety of people on to express those kinds of viewpoints and talk about it and have productive conversations and discussions and all sorts of stuff. I feel like that will be a wonderful use of everybody's time. I think it'll provide a lot of value. And I don't know, I just think it's like a beautiful little community sentiment kind of thing we got going on here. Someone said, "Holy shit, Leah's awake." Yeah, I know. That's very surprising, isn't it? Um, and yeah, so I guess let's just do the serious half part where we talk about the things people suggested as topic. And then when we go through that, we can do a fun half, I guess, where we chit chat or whatever about daily life, whatnots or whatever. But yeah, what's kind of interesting is I did not think of like what this podcast, like a name for the podcast. But I did have an idea. It would be basically a parody name, and I'm totally joking, but we could call this the Leah Passanetti experience, and we could just make this like the trans Joe Rogan experience, but that's a joke. I'm very funny. Anyway, actually I'm more funny than Joe Rogan, which is great. So maybe I do have a hope like to be a comedian in the future. Anyway, let me pull up the post here. Sorry about that. Um, scroll down a little. Do this. Oops. hitting buttons. Uh, cool. Almost got it. There we go. That's sort of right. So yes, here is the post. I guess I'll just read ones that seem, you know, like they provide value, and then we will talk about them, and then I'll move on to the next one, and we'll just go from there. Um, Okay, so first one is from Grace. I would love to hear more from community grassroots organizers across the states. Our communities have a lot of incredible voices and much wisdom to share. And I would assume that you have some some things that you could say about that for sure. Um, considering, your unique position, if you wanted to say anything about it.
I apologize because I'm actually trying to pull up the same page right now to
Oh, you're
find
okay. You're okay.
the the post. And I
Well,
actually do have a question here. Or how are you sorting by it? Because I want to make sure I see the same question too.
it just sorted by top, by automatically. Um, so
And
that's what I have it.
this was from a Grace, I believe.
Shakespeare is the username. I know
Oh,
her
thank
real
you.
name. I don't read people's usernames sometimes because it's like their dead name, or like just like I know their real name, and so I end up defaulting to that. I'll try to be a little more specific though.
I think
Um,
that I think that, like, I agree too. I am somebody who is in a unique position to be able to speak to on the ground organization and advocacy in a multitude of different manners because not only in my current role as the executive director of Trans Unity Coalition, I do a fair bit of travel now where I'm not just anchored to the advocacy in one state, which I'm actually not sure if this podcast is U.S. centric or not, but I might speak as though it is. So if there's any international audience members, then I apologize if I'm uh, ignorantly and like a true American ignoring the perspective of other countries. But to that end, at least as far as within the country here, seeing the fight for trans rights across many different states and many different localities, completely in different political environments, like heavily liberal, more maybe Democratic voting areas or more heavily conservative and more Republican voting areas. And the fight is everywhere. Like the fight isn't just in one spot. And I think the notion that, the fight is something that's new or that like, oh, like the numbers are too small, therefore there's no impact. That's just, you know, fear mongery BS in my opinion, because as human beings, we're all entitled to the same liberties. The myth that some people deserve those more than others is fabricated by a select few elite who want to keep people fighting because, like, I'm 32 now. I could waste 40, 50 more years just trying to fight for the same rights that we all ought to have, right? And if I do that, they win because I will have wasted my entire life not living. So we have to remember that we're people too. There is a healthy degree to need to step away from some of the advocacy. Apologies, and this might sound a little bit like it's straying away from the topic that was asked by Shakespeare, but it actually isn't. Refreshing, recharging, telling ourselves that I matter too. I can't stay activated 100% of the time. I need to disengage for a moment. I think that'll be the biggest thing from keeping a person burning out in the fight for advocacy. And that's something that in the context of like seeing how the fight plays out in different areas, in some states, in some counties, in some cities, the fight might be more for getting sanctuary rights. And it might be more hopeful. It might be we almost have protections here. We're pushing for that. And in other places, it might be very dire. It might be super majority of like these stupid, like ignorant Republicans. And these people are just like, well, we have all the power, so screw you, people. We don't like you. And then the fight there is a little bit more on guard. It's a little bit more, defensive. It's a little bit more, we need to be here for each other at the communities that we're in. So I can't give like a single let's talk about this that applies to everyone, but the one little tip I can get is get sleep. Look at the clouds. Hug something or someone, and remember that you're doing this because people like you matter, and really you matter the most because you got to look after yourself. So no matter where you're fighting, just make sure that you have that work life balance, because advocacy is 200% work. And if you don't give yourself life, then the wick isn't going to run very long.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think
Is that
that
too wordy? Is
no,
that too
no,
excessive?
that's totally fine. This is long form, like I think it's totally fine to just speak your mind. And I mean, people that subscribe to me, like someone left me a comment the other day and they were like, can you try like getting your videos like sub 20 minutes for those of us who like really struggle to keep up or watch the long form content? And I straight up just said like, I'm sorry. You might just want to not watch my content because like every time I try to do like every time I'm gonna record a video and I'm like I'm gonna keep it short. It's gonna be short. It's at least 30 minutes. Like that's I just can't. I just can't. Like I'm rambly. It's just the person I am. And to do anything else would be disingenuous, and I refuse. So I yeah, just whatever comes out. I think that's the should be kind of one of the points of this podcast is that it's not like a forced delivery or like I want this to feel like more like a conversation, like a real conversation. Uh, so yeah, no, it's totally fine. Yeah, no, I agree though. Like, you're no use to anybody if you're miserable. Like, you're not going to be a good advocate if you're not like getting some kind of enjoyment out of life. If you're not like taking care of yourself and getting good rest and eating, a diet that works for you and like doing all that stuff. Like if that's not happening for you, like you're just not going to be of any use to anybody. And so I think that that is advice that like, it's like everything is like we're like onions and everything emanates out from the core of it, right? And so like if the core is rotten or struggling or whatever, then everything else on the outside, the peripherals, is gonna be affected by that. So that could be work, it could be your relationships, it could be advocacy, it could be anything. And so obviously, like, yeah, if you wanna be a good advocate, for sure you should make sure that you get that good balance. I know a lot of us feel like it's really dire, so it's like I need to sacrifice, I need to like jump in the front lines and do stuff for some of us. And that's beautiful, but also like make sure that you still are living a life worth living and not like you should try to have healthy boundaries there, I think. Like it is a noble sacrifice, but it doesn't make it noble if you burn out and then can no longer contribute and help.
I think
Um
we have a winning comment or a chat comment, because somebody said the no Rogan experience, and that is
yeah.
probably legally questionable in terms of an actual name, but that is such a great suggestion that I needed to call that one out. That one is amazing. We
Yeah,
have we
that's
have a
super
we have
funny.
a there's a comedian in the chat, and they're hilarious.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's definitely a funny one. I think it's interesting because like the format of this is very going to be very similar to what Joe Rogan is doing, but I think it's just like he's a terrible person, but this is like a format that does work and is like something that people like to see because kind of in our modern society there's a severe lack of listening to people have reasonable conversations about things. And Joe Rogan is no longer having reasonable conversations about things. He's just like high as fuck, like with some random billionaire on his podcast, like giving them like a hot stone massage while they talk about how working class people are like lazy and the devil or something. But yeah, no, I think that like doing that kind of format for good, for like constructive conversations and for stuff like this is really cool and something I am excited to be a part of and to help bring to existence. So, yay. Um let's move on to another one of these comments here. Let me scroll through. So there were I just wanted to there this one was mentioned a lot by a lot of different people, and I was actually very much surprised by it, so I just wanna hit this one, so I don't have to keep reiterating it over and over. A lot of people wanted to hear about, like, daily life stuff, and that is why we're doing, like, a like a serious seg
Second half.
yeah, second half where it's, like, not so much serious stuff, because I think that is something that would be nice to do, and I wanted to address that. But yeah, I was actually very surprised that people did wanna hear just, like, chit chat, daily life stuff, like, I think that that's cool, but, yeah, I wanted to address that right now.
I
Uh,
was really happy to see that because I also I think it might have been, if you remember, like, maybe 5, 6-ish or so days ago that, like, I did look at a lot of the earlier comments when they were, I think, like, kind of within a day fresh, and that was already still something that was a consistent what I would like to hear, and it seems like some people have also corroborated that sense. And I love talking about normal life because, like, people either ask me about how the nonprofit goes, and then I feel like I get typecast as that, and then maybe less about other things that I'm doing, or more just about me and just how things are. But I usually find that when people do ask about more just the regular Brie and, like, just like, you know, me and life, my spiritual philosophy and just like bar chat, etc., that I think people find me pretty relatable. And I'm not somebody who boasts myself very easily for whatever reason. So if I'm saying something that sounds like a self-positive praise, it's probably because enough people have told me that in my life that it's like I feel comfortable saying that's a recurring pattern. Because, I can't really, like, if you call yourself something, the adjectives have more power when it's not them saying that about themselves, but others saying that about them, because that means people also agree with that. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I'm really happy to talk about, like, what's it like when I go pick out food at the store, or what's it like when I'm watching gas prices go up and I'm thinking about, okay, how many gallons, or in my brain, how many liters? But nobody here uses liters, so I'm gonna pretend like I didn't say that. And regular life is great. Again, work life balance. And I would also love to hear, like, everyone here, in the audience and also on camera, what's life like for you? Like what are normal, what's like the 2011 like Tumblr, like, just girly things, like just trans things or just life things or something that's like that. Um, that's something I'm really interested in pursuing as well in terms of talking.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, it's cool because chat can be a part of the experience as well, which is nice. Like we have chat up here on screen and there, it's scrolling by. I should try to make the chat box a little easier to see. I should work on that, but that's
There's
something.
at least one person in Twitch too who also said a very positive comment, and I'm both looking at YouTube and Twitch because it seems like there's the potential for different chat members. Your setup, I'm not sure if it all, like, funnels into the same chat pool, but I'm kind of just juggling. And if there's like a third platform that you're streaming through as well, okay, then that's good. But I definitely want to make sure nobody feels missed because
Right.
people are giving a lot to give up their time to watch uh, what could be considered two random people
Yeah.
who, and at
Yeah.
least one of them relatively less stable. And that's me, of course, but like that's very, it's an honor for people to say, I'll give you the chance of conversation and listening as an experience. So, Lucinda, Va JJ, thank you so much for your, thank you so much for your participation.
Yeah, and huge shout out to everybody. I know I normally read like almost everything in my chat, but it's going to be a little different for this kind of podcast. If I'm engaging with people and having conversations, it's going to be more of a focus on that, but I will try to, when possible, bring chat into the conversation, especially when if, you see people that say something funny or interesting or whatever. So yeah, I think it's awesome to have you all here. Uh I saw someone mentioned InfoWars was bought by The Onion, and that's hilarious. It was and is. And there was a video that I think the guy who runs The Onion, his name is like Tim or like Tim Heidecker. I think that's his name, is like the guy who like bought The Onion or whatever. But they made like a video where he sounds like Alex Jones, and it's just it's such a funny video. It's very funny. I very much recommend that.
Isn't
Uh,
that the same Tim and Eric, Adult Swim, Tim?
Maybe
I
I'm
think it's
honestly so bad at like
Tim
celebrity
Heidecker.
stuff.
That guy is a comedian, so it
Yes.
wouldn't be outside of the realm of possibility. I just know that the whole Onion Infowars takeover has been like, I think at least a couple years of legal battle. Like it's just
Yeah.
been an on and
It's
off
still
thing.
going, I think, even though it's like pretty much through. It's like there's still some stuff happening. Like appeals or something.
I think that we should probably have like regulation on crackpot media that is just brainwashing people with no correct informational value when it's just misinformation and tactical, let's talk about this today as a distraction to whatever is going on tomorrow. Then you can come after a whole community and make up the merits, but maybe go after something that actually impacts a whole generation of impressionable American minds, since we're not really known to be an intelligent country that thinks critically for itself, or can really tell the difference between, is this research or is this research? This has
Right.
a lot of words in it. Is this real research?
Yeah.
I don't know what peer reviewed means, but Infowars said it was research.
Right. Yeah,
So is it research?
like disconnect of like the truth, capital T truth kind of ceasing to exist is like pretty scary, pretty unnerving, and I definitely think that there needs to be more regulation and more ways to like hold people accountable for that kind of thing, because like people should have the freedom of speech and whatever, but it should be very clear when you're just saying shit or like when you are like reporting on news, like reporting on events that have happened. And I think that those lines, due to moneyed interest, have blurred and blurred and blurred and blurred and blurred. And here we are at this stage with like AI and all sorts of other shit. The online uh, internet bubble thing is getting worse and worse. It's pretty frustrating, for sure. Oh, let's go do one other. Let's just do another comment here. This one's from
We
I
got
think.
a couple people talking about Fox News as well, and I was going to say that, like, I was going to point this out as well, but like Fox News is like, you know, doing business as Fox News, probably like Fox Media LLC or something, but they have been on record in court as a defense. We are not literally news, and anyone who is a moron could tell that. And like one, it's so like obviously, people know that whatever you say in court, if it's like a public case, is going to be on record, right? So they're not hiding it, right? And they're just kind of like trolling with their own audience members, that like they're calling their own audience idiots and saying, well, we're not actually news, but they still do what they do as if it were. And it's the kind of thing that a conspiracy theorist could say, I am a paid actor and I'm probably a spawn of the devil. And like the crazy part is there are people that believe that insanity, but I'm not. I'm just looking at real news. I'm looking at things as they proceed. I'm looking at the clear power imbalance between entities like, say, Fox Media or Sinclair Broadcasting, or all these like right alt, Turning Point USA, Kirk type like media podcasters, and that's not good for a country if the country's serious about being a country, right? I think we're losing our moral ground on how to actually act like adults, and we're just reverting to a bunch of like children on a playground, when that playground is full of bullies and weaker people who are more vulnerable to those bullies. And you have other countries that are looking at this like, what is the US doing? Right? Like we have other adults across the ocean that are like, what is this country doing?
Yeah,
And it's embarrassing, right? Like I'm here for the fight. I'm not going anywhere, but like it's embarrassing what I'm fighting for. Like here,
yeah, no,
we got to fix
I
that.
get that. I get that. It is kind of wild, like the distinction between what a lot of these companies say in court versus what they say publicly is bonkers. Like I think that's ridiculous that you can go into court and just say one thing entirely and then leave, and then now that you're out of the courtroom, you can just say whatever the hell you want and you can spin, 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 spin. And I think yeah, I know it's really disruptive to a lot of things, but it's also just like disheartening that it's so rooted in like our system that like they're Fox News is so huge, and these misinformation networks have grown massively in size, and they're run by some extremely wealthy people that have basically endless power and money at this stage. And so it it's dumb. It's like, it's anti-intellectualism is really frustrating. It's a tool that they use to try to keep us from organizing and realizing things and growing, and there's all this propaganda and stuff, and it's like fog trying to obscure the image of what's going on right in front of our very eyes, so that we can't act or do anything about it. Yeah, no, it really sucks. Like like if you look up the whole like Sandy Hook stuff with Alex Jones, speaking about, Infowars and Alex Jones, like him going into the courtroom and saying one thing entirely different than what he said publicly for years and years and years and years and years, and then leaving the courtroom and then immediately going back and saying, saying the defamatory stuff or implying it or whatever. It's just it's wild. It's absolutely wild. Like there's no actual accountability there other than the fact that he kind of just ran out of money and stuff and had to get bought out. But it's good that he's gone, It's good that at least Alex Jones is gone. So,
I think this is the closest that we can get in our country right now to
yeah,
society punishing an evil,
yeah,
and this is as close as we can get. It's still kind of pathetic. Like this isn't. I don't. It's not very punitive if you're just going after the rich with money. It's like maybe strip away your rights to media licensing, or maybe something a little bit more. Like if it were me, if I were that kind of person, uh, I would just, call bankruptcy on one LLC or one company and then just found a different one, different
yeah,
name. Probably take the steam off. So maybe not call it InfoWars, call it something really, obscure like Jones Media LLC, right? It's like, okay, that's who knows what that could mean, right? A million Jones in the country, but like,
yeah.
and then just keep doing what you're doing and you still profit. So it's not like he doesn't have connections. It's not like he doesn't know how to still conduct business. Just that like some named entity is, going out, but that doesn't really stop much.
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, I would be very surprised if that is the last we see of Mr. Jones. Like like I would assume there will be something in the pipeline for him because of networking and
2040
connections.
presidential bid.
Yeah, something like that. So yeah, no, it's definitely like there's this sort of like a lot of people talk about like cancel culture and stuff like that, but like let's be honest, most of the time, unless something extremely dramatic happens, like there's almost endless ability for someone, especially in America, to just like keep turning over, like, some new system or some new thing to, especially if you have money. If you have the backing of money, it's just like, "Whatever." Like, "Oops, I tripped," and then you get back up and someone and the billionaire hands you, $100 million to start a new company or whatever. Um, but yeah, so let's move on here real quick to some of these other comments. Um Someone, James6562 said, "It'd be awesome if you could have trans artists on to talk about their art, anywhere from comic artists to musicians." Yeah, that would be great. I also saw some people saying things about like comedians or like whatever, other kind of creatives, and I think that like I mentioned it earlier, but just to kind of reiterate it, would love to see some people like that on the podcast. If you are one of those kinds of people, definitely try to get in touch with me. I would love to talk to some people more about that. Um, for sure, I think that's a great thing. I find a lot of like trans artists have like some pretty awesome art. I don't know what it necessarily is about that. It's probably a lot to do with the fact that transitioning and doing all that process kind of requires you to have a pretty introspective look on yourself and life and stuff. And so you end up being able to access the font of creativity maybe a little better than someone who's like a repressed bigot and doesn't, feel anything except for fear and hatred. So, yeah, no, for sure. There's a lot of wonder, and like there are some trans artists that I can think of off the top of my head right now that like it would be awesome to platform because I like listen to their music or I look at their comics or whatever. Anyway, yeah. Do you have anything to say about that in particular?
I would probably also double down on the if there are any trans umbrella artists out there that would like to have your moment in the spotlight. One thing that I've noticed in the nonprofit capacity in trying to build several different programs and several different services that can really touch on different really even just like different experience and different interests so that more volunteers have more options to say I want to do the art outreach stuff or I want to build like an art platform versus like oh I want to work more in the academic volunteering space and look at like clinical research or etc. Then we do need more people who would like to have either like their experience as an artist to be able to share their stories or to share their work or to platform what they do or find more opportunity to just give them more option to say here's something that I could participate in and like that at the person level like really make that decision like if it's worth their time. But I think there tends to be less opportunity for people to do that where people would love to have even just like a 5-minute opportunity to speak about like, this is why I do this in the way that I do. It's unique for me because it touches on trauma, or maybe it touches on the joy in my life, or whatever. And the intersectionality of art and who one is incredible, right? Like art is very much expression, and I feel that in many ways people can really tap into their expressive side uniquely. It doesn't have to be traditional art either. And but like that's art. It's the extension of who the person is within. So maybe everyone's an artist. And we're really just trying to find in the journey of life what the art itself is.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
I say nonsensical things like that all the time too. So
no, no,
yeah,
it's
because nonsensical.
no, it's cool. I tend to think, like if you're an artist, like everything can be art. Like the clothes you wear and the way you do everything, it can all be an artistic expression. Like you can view it and pretty much anything in that way. So even if you're not like, a painter or whatever, like you can still engage in like that creative process and have like an avenue for it and an avenue for expressivity and I think that's important for people. Like I think that like is one of the things that brings people a lot of joy at a very fundamental level is finding ways to express like a true version of themselves or something deep within yourself out into the real world because like we live very like I don't know about everyone else but I feel like we're all living some pretty deep inner experiences that can be often hard to convey with words and with just the normal means of communication. And art kind of gives us this ability to abstract or to use different mediums or whatever to bring that stuff into the real world. And I think that that's all really cool. It's nice to see people try to take their inner world and like share a piece of it with people. So yes, definitely looking forward to more conversations like that on the podcast. Um, do you have anything to add to that on that
I'm
topic?
kind of just scrolling down the comments because I think that there kind of is a diminishing returns sort of phenomena here where the more we go down the comments, the more some comments will have already had their like topic of area covered. And there might be kind of like a ramp up where as we go down more, they kind of clear out a little bit more like, oh, like this was mentioned as well. And so I was just kind of glancing at other areas that looked a little mentioned by some people. Somebody mentioned like kind of non-specifically to either a gender or any particular community, but the idea of like seems like wealth taxes, so maybe something a little bit more economic or policy related more broadly. Somebody had an interest in. It looks like somebody wanted to hear about perspectives in the healthcare system. I would assume specifically maybe the American healthcare system, maybe other healthcare systems too, but like specifically with for the perspective from trans people. And I know that like, the trans broken arm syndrome thing is also what some people experience and shouldn't have to, but there being systematic bias against really any marginalized people, and specifically what that can look like in an objective measure for the trans community, such as perhaps things getting misdiagnosed because, oh, you're transgender, right? It must be that. Instead of, oh, it's actually a tumor starting to grow. And then that being just, dismissing the needs of a person because it's like, you're one of them, huh? Okay, well, that must be the problem. Don't waste my time. And that, just being discriminatory and bigoted. But then also, things related to like insurance. I know that when I made several hours phone calls to my insurers, it was worth it, but most people don't do that. Like that's not a normal daily function to call a phone hotline for several hours. And that could be something to talk about there too. What about like DIY? It intersects with healthcare because it's healthcare through the non-institution. So those are a few different things that could be talked about too. Although that might be really good for somebody who actually works in the healthcare system as well. And there is a non-zero chance I could potentially network around and see who might want to be available to speak to those particular needs from an actual medical role. And that might be just something for down the road too. Um, Trans media, queer police officers, and LEO intersectionality within the community, which there are definitely trans folks out there willing to help bridge the gap. And there was a conference regarding this in ATX last year. People really love your vibe, by the way. That is also a very recurring thing. So I just wanted to point that out there. Um,
Yeah,
I
thank you
see some
everyone
topics
for the
on religion. Catholicism was pointed out specifically, and I would love to talk spirituality. That's something that I say that as an atheist, but I love talking spirituality. I feel like not enough atheists talk about that because I think there's a misconception that, oh, if you're an atheist, you're just a soulless heathen, which maybe I am. But like, I do feel that part of the experience of life is a spiritual journey. And, that is kind of, I guess, secular to the idea of a higher power, but there's a lot of intersectionality there too in terms of conversation, which that would be kind of cool. And then I don't know. Have you seen anything else that you thought really could have stood out from all these like really incredible and like powerful suggestions?
yeah,
Does the little one there? Did the little one there? That the cuddly furry little one on camera that I'm
yeah,
seeing. Did
it's
any
Fred.
suggestions there?
Yeah, I'm sure
Fred.
people always want me to get like a little cat cam for Fred, and I would love to do that. That is a logistical thing that I have to figure out. But also, he like moves around a bit. He naps next to me a lot, but moves around a lot. But Freddie is the star of the show. Freddie is the reason that everyone is here. Rusty, thank you so much for the $5, by the way. And they said, "Wonderful to see you, Bree. I feel very calm hearing you." Thank you for the $5. That's very nice of you. Appreciate everyone for being here. If you don't mind, real quick, just the algorithm things, hit the like button, share this out to people if you would be so kind. Would love to get more eyes here. Thank you for helping bring this into reality. Um, yeah, so
Rusty, I also wanted to jump in too,
go
because
ahead.
I know that earlier in the chat you had said, asking about how the nonprofit is doing, and I don't want to cut in too much time on that, but it's going really well in terms of like a growing business and just like its spread. I currently oversee 5 states of Trans Unity Coalition officially registered in those states. And it's been an honor to it's been an honor to take part in that because it's it's a scary time, but I'm not lying when I say being in this role is so much more uplifting than negative. So much more uplifting. There's so much more random moment that's so impactful to myself and what I feel is others part of that experience. So thank you for asking. Um, it's been amazing for something that one might not think would be described as like an amazing circumstance. But it's been amazing to be part of a growing team and the community and just trying to do what I can here. And thank you so much for asking about that earlier. Sorry, I just wanted to call that out. I didn't
No,
know
for
too
sure.
much. That was asked really early. I didn't know too much how to talk about too much of how much time to purpose to talking about the nonprofit, but it seems like I can jump in a little bit on that one, and I didn't want to overreach without asking it first, but wanted to bring that up. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely that is part of like your unique perspective. And so like I know that maybe you think you talk about it a lot. But definitely welcome you, talking about the nonprofit stuff on here as well. Um yeah, no, I agree that a lot of the stuff kind of repeats in the comments, like and a lot of these topics are extremely broad, and like one thing I want to say is that like I don't think either of us are experts in all of this stuff right now, which is great and fine. And so like a lot of research and stuff is going to have to go into some of these topics, like people like we're going to have to like like it was mentioned, it would be useful to bring someone on to talk about the healthcare system, someone that works in the healthcare system, because no matter how much research I do on it personally, individually, I am going to have the perspective of someone who has not worked directly in the healthcare system, uh, but has learned about it through books or media of some kind, which is can be, I can put my input there or whatever, but I do think that like for certain topics, having a particular guest on to fit that topic will be kind of like the time to do that topic, because it'll give us the unique perspective or opportunity to ask someone who deals with it on a more daily interpersonal level, or they have that window in that would allow us to get some really good information from that. So yeah, definitely like the healthcare. I saw some stuff about military. I saw some stuff about like uh, trans rights in terms of like internationally, like around the world. And so like that would obviously be a moment where like I would need to get someone who lives not in the U.S., because like if I talk about the UK or something, or we talk about the UK, it's like we don't live there. So, that outsider perspective is something that can be useful in some sense, but it's limited in its scope. And so definitely there's a lot of that in here.
We
Um,
had an activist from the UK who submitted a written story for us that we hosted on our website sometime last year. And I won't call this person out by name just now because, like, this is just something I'm kind of brainstorming live. But I could definitely ask if this person would like to be here as well to speak internationally. I know that the fight for trans rights in the UK is only one international battle. There are many. So obviously, one person internationally isn't going to speak for the rest of the world. Much like you're already saying that, like, we really have less that we can say about internationally, aside from just like what we see in the news, which is valid too, but like it isn't the direct immersed there. So I could definitely ask to see that. That's probably a really good opportunity as well, because even in our own country, and at times it's kind of frustrating to limit the fight scope to just here because fights kind of happening all over. It's a human rights fight, right? This isn't like, oh, the American trans rights fight, and then the rest of the world is just either, the rest of the world trans people don't exist, or the rest of the world everyone has protections, etc. Like the fight is everywhere and different waves. There's definitely like a interesting Crisho fascist push for bullying gender now, and that being something that is crossing borders. but like not in the same way. And there are some countries that currently are still doubling down on that fight coming in and saying, we don't want that here. Like, this is just discrimination and ignorance, and we do not want that here. And there are some countries that feel that they're just like decades ahead in the trans rights fights than like the US at least, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. There's a lot of variation in what's happening in the world, and I will say actually, um, I kind of expected after Trump's reelection in the second term, like obviously, like you said, there is like this like Christo-fascist, like, wave, kind of washing through the world. But, like, right after Trump got elected and bad stuff started happening, especially, like, with the relations between, like, Canada and the US, we saw the far right party in Canada lose a lot of steam, and that's how Mark Carney ended up getting elected, in that race instead of the sort of MAGA equivalent in Canada. It's like, I think his name was Pete Polyev or something like that, but, um like, I kind of expected to see more of that throughout the world where it's like, "Oh, look at how pathetically stupid this fascism is in the US and how ineffective it is and how bad it is for the economy and for everything. It's bad for everything. It's just this like enshittification at the highest level, right?" And so like I expected to see more cuz like internationally the propaganda, American propaganda kind of ends at our borders. And when you get out of the US, there's a lot more clarity within the rest of the world about like what the US is and how we are and how things run and how imperialist or whatever we are as a country. But I think like uh, it must just be something to do with the fact that, like, with Canada, it was personal. It was like between Canadians and the US, it felt like like the I saw a huge wave of Canadians, standing up against it and like getting very involved with it, and like to maybe to the rest of the world, America's fascism is this more nebulous thing where it is effectual, but it's like it's maybe a little less direct between their specific country and the US, and that's why there's not as much of a pushback against the far right in some countries, or maybe it's just I mean, again, it's like it's such a complex conversation and such a there's so much there, and I'm an American, so I'm obviously innately terrible about talking about foreign affairs.
It's
But
really good to remember that other countries didn't just magically pop into existence now in relativity to the US's drama and issues. Like, centuries of history, right? Like they're where they're at now. It isn't necessarily a race of like who's more first world or something. It's definitely like say Spain, right? They're very queer inclusive in Spain. You're gonna have like parts in the country that are a little bit more. I don't want none of insert anything really, but like Spain's pretty queer friendly. The few times that I've been there, it's just been like everything's super normal day-to-day lifestyle, right? I haven't directly lived in a part of the planet yet where like if I pop out of my apartment, people are just pointing at me and like calling me slurs. I know that sadly places like that do exist, and too many places like that do exist in the US. Largely more conservative areas, like kind of rare to find that in a more liberal area because neighbors tend to be like, even if selfishly, just like, I feel like I have the moral high ground. You can't be doing that here, not in our community. We don't want discrimination. I feel like in liberal areas that tends to be a little bit more common. Everyone's experience is different, but like in other countries, it's just like the culture is different, the history is different, even the languages are different, and language like confers so much ability to do things like discriminate or to accept or to love, and so even the way that like the brains operate is different, like neurologically, right? So you're going to see different societies have their own different different stakes and different fights in terms of either acceptance or advocacy or legal rights. And some of them are doing better than here. And some, maybe a lot, aren't. But yeah, internationally, every country is different. And it's worth at least respecting the culture or the zeitgeist of it all with the perspective of somebody who's actually there, actually has a vetted stake, and is experiencing that firsthand And then, being in solidarity with us and us being in solidarity with them. And that's a big part of it too, just recognizing that like everything is the center of its own universe and it's a big planet. The US is tiny. Americans are a minority of the world, right? Like I feel like people should probably maybe wake up to that. Americans are a minority demographic of the world. So
Yes. Yes, indeed. And yeah, there's a lot there. Like someone in chat, Scooby D2 said we tend to think of the Mango Mussolini as a sort of evil big bird from Sesame Street. And I could see that where like Trump is so stupid. Uh like it's honestly kind of amazing that he's able to hold such sway over people because objectively like the things he says often very incorrect, often huge lies, mistruths, to a lot of other people across the world it probably seems almost a little bit comedic. I mean sometimes it is comedic even to Americans where it's like holy crap, this guy's just a kind of a loser, but he's got some kind of weird charisma buff that allows him to just like create a cult of personality around him. Um, but yeah,
I
no,
haven't seen it. I keep hearing he's charismatic. I haven't seen it. I like he just knows how to kind of scream at the right times. If that's the you know the bar for charisma, then
yeah, I think
I
that's
just will end my comment from at that. I
no,
think.
you're right, and I think that
Brad,
that's kind of the point that I'm making is that like his charisma is incredibly stupid, and like you have to be. I'm not trying to insult people, but you kind of have to be pretty stupid to not to be swept up in that to be like oh yeah like he's trying to make life better for me and um to be swept away by the things that he's saying you just have to have basically no information and no critical thinking. Um, so yeah, and that's a unique issue with America is the lack of critical thinking. It's definitely a big issue in our country. Our education system is not doing very well in terms of teaching people how to critically think or assess information. Like honestly, media literacy courses, stuff like that would go a long way. Like we were talking about, like losing track of the truth and the amount of misinformation over the airways nowadays. I think part of that is just the fact that people are not able to discern that kind of stuff. Like people should listen to Fox News and be like, well, this is 98% bullshit. Like, or like, this is clearly propaganda or whatever. Like, there should be an awareness of that, but there isn't because we are not taught to do that. We are not taught to do that. You have to go to college and take like a fucking philosophy course to be taught how to do basic critical thinking in America, which is really sad because obviously those are useful skills, just not skills that our education system wants you to have. They want you to be a good little office worker or a good little factory worker or whatever, and kind of geared towards more towards that.
everyone has the potential for critical thinking, and
Yes.
it needs to be fostered at a younger age because it very much touches on the neurological development of a brain, all the neural pathways. There's an architecture to everyone's squishy little brain, right? And the brain is incredibly fungible. There's a lot of opportunity later in life to learn things that maybe one didn't earlier, but like just from like a biological point of view. And oh, I'm a trans person talking about biology. What? So it's like, well, like there's something here that says I actually have like a biology degree, so maybe I can talk a little bit about it. Maybe not an expert, but you know, if we're talking about going to college for a piece of paper, hey, I got that piece of paper, so let me ramble for at least 2 minutes. When the brain's developing, like it's figuring out how to actually use itself, right? And that's the external environment stimulating the development. That's the internal process consciously reinforcing itself. And somebody who's younger, who's in a position of like, do I ask my parents? Do I think about this for myself? And while we want to keep, our kids safe too, and there's something like, well, if that thing's on fire, I want my child out of there. They don't have to critically think about getting the hell away from like a burning flame. But um, people should be encouraging the next generation in general, right, to have the skills to make decisions for itself, to be told that you're okay to deviate from like whatever is expected through conformity. As long as you're following ethics, right? As long as you're being good to yourself, you're being good to others, you're being fair, and you're taking in as realistically as possible all the extenuating circumstances and applying them in the decision making process versus just being blindly told what to believe in or what to follow, or this has just been in place always, therefore we got to do it. And we need more people to challenge the idea that, things are great and that we shouldn't break the system further with like progressive ideology or like forward thinking ideas, because that isn't logical. But what I feel that like Heritage Foundation, what I feel like all these conservative waves do is they have either like tactfully or just randomly stumbled into it, discovered the dark secret of the brain, which is that you can hijack the brain. And this isn't something I'm making up, and I promise this has at least been a Wikipedia page for at least 15 years. If you look up the term amygdala hijack, the amygdala is part of the brain. It's very much kind of like in there, like kind of in the center, and it connects the brainstem to like the forward part of the brain. And the forward part of the brain is kind of where that advanced thinking, where the consciousness, where that ego comes into play. And so if all your external stimuli is feeding in through a little like central node, then that makes it a vulnerability point. It directly feeds into the hippocampus as well, which is a more reactive emotional center. And so if I say something that offends you, right? If I say something that you're just immediately like, wait, did I just hear those words? Your brain is taking sound input from your ears, passing it through your amygdala, and then the hippocampus is having like a neurological reaction to thing it didn't expect. That can create a feedback loop, which actually pulls in the stimuli to the hippocampus, which is much more emotional and a lot more premature in terms of like evolutionary development as a part of the human brain. It puts the person in a fight or flight mode where they're kind of stuck in this like state of adrenaline, where this thing that they're seeing or hearing or thinking about is now either like, is this a threat, right? And when you hijack that, you can control it, you can manipulate people, you can say that person isn't like us, they're a problem, let's get them, right? And that hijacks the brain. It's neurological. Like, this is science, right? This isn't just making stuff up. When somebody can train the ability to de-escalate, to like collect their thoughts, to say like, I'm panicked right now, but I need to trust my own mind that if I give it 4 more seconds to like take a deep breath and think and reassess the situation, is that person down the street a threat to me or my street or my household? Maybe they're just some queer kid trying to grow up and live their life, right? Now that's applying the front of the brain, which is where logic is. Logic has an extra like hurdle it has to go through to actually activate. And when we live in a country that's always trying to spook people, like really on both sides, right? Like just fear mongering and scaring people and keeping them from actually coming together peacefully and have adult, rational, important conversations, even if they're ones that make you feel a little uncomfortable because it's like, oh, I have to sit down with people I've been fighting with for like 10, 15 years or longer. But the ability to sit down and say, let's just talk. Let's like, work together on this. That's how you create room for compromise. That's how you show compassion. That's how you show you're actually trying, right? But it has to be multi-directional. All parties have to agree to that. And if right now we have like a literal political party that's just saying we don't want that, we have all the leverage right now, at least currently. We'll see what the midterms do, but all the leverage right now, and we don't have to, do that. Then until either they grow up in mass collectively, all like for no reason, they have no incentive to, or like some powerful change happens, maybe turn out to vote and, like just whatever needs to happen to see some kind of like scenario where people have to rethink what they're doing, have to rethink why they're discriminating on others, or, you know, why they feel that that is actually an emotional victory instead of a realistic, tangible one that maybe either gets more food at their table or helps educate their children better or funds that. Until people can really like sit down and think about that rationally, it's just going to be a bunch of people that see news, get heated, yell at it, see people like me or someone else and then just yell and think I did my American duty today by screaming at somebody and looking like a 10-year-old child at the store, right? So that's what we're fighting with here. And that's also why sometimes burning out, the work life balance of it all, sometimes burning out is just burning out because you're dealing with so much ignorance. It's not that you're like fighting off people with sticks and spears. It's just like trying to convince people that don't want to be convinced, have no reason to be, but you still have to try because that's what hope implies, the pursuit of attempt, because you believe in something and you want to fight for it with your time. Sometimes that's how you burn out too. But, we still do what we do, and, everything is kind of in flux. I'm going to yield back my time to the floor. I also might step out for a second to use the restroom. I'm not really sure how restroom breaks work here,
I mean, that's
but
fine.
I
Go for
might
it.
give a few minutes.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah, you're good. No worries. I'll just yap for a little bit. So, yeah, no, a lot of good stuff there. I think that like there is this thing that happens with people where like the because what we're talking about is like basically like some extremely deeply rooted tribalistic instincts combined with this part of the human brain that is like evolutionarily engineered to be like a threat detector. Like we are working with a brain that is designed evolutionarily to be on guard from like literal death, like kind of all the time, right? That is the world that we were developed in. And now we live in a world where there is very much not constantly death around every corner, right? Things are not as dire in a survival instinct kind of way as they used to be. But our brains haven't had the evolutionary time required to adjust to that kind of life or to change or develop for that kind of life. And so we still have a lot of these kinds of instincts. And I think that a lot of people, um, when they get captured by fear and anger, and like we were talking about here with the amygdala and all that stuff, I tend to think that they think that it's like something very important that they're doing. Like they think that their anger and their fear is like is doing something like Bree said, like, oh, I'm doing my American duty by screaming at some quote unquote blue haired leftist or whatever because they're not me or whatever. But like I genuinely think that there's something there to the fact that like a lot of these people like this stuff is so deeply rooted. I think it ends up feeling almost like a sense of purpose to a lot of these people, and like they may not have a very strong sense of purpose outside of the fear and hatred. And so a lot of these people kind of latch onto this stuff in a sort of obsessive sort of way. And now to be very clear, this is not like the not everyone is like this, and this is like all that nuance that we need to throw in here, that like there are a lot of people who are well adjusted who are not horrible people who are captured by this emotional thing. But it is very clear that it is entirely possible and not even that hard to capture people in this sort of way with these emotions and these strong feelings. And because it's such a deeply rooted instinct within people, I think it ends up feeling like like I said, like almost like purpose, or like some kind of like deep level drive for them to reject something or to be against something. But yeah, like I think a lot of the times when people enter, like what ends up happening is people are they're in that emotional state, like they're consumed by fear and anger, and our society makes that very possible, partly because of what we're talking about, but partly because our society, like there are two parts of the brain. There's the sympathetic nervous system and there's the parasympathetic nervous system. So you have like the fight or flight response, but then you also have the rest and relax response. And our society kind of pushes people into the fight or flight response 100% of the time, because that is where you're the most pragmatically productive. That is where you are, working the hardest and doing the most capitalism, is when you're in that fight or flight mode. When you're in rest and relax mode, you might be a little bit of a consumer, but you're mostly going to be not as productive because you're obviously resting and relaxing. But when your society forces you into this fight or flight kind of like state by innately, just for the sake of productivity, and that's why caffeine and nicotine are drugs that kind of put people and allow people to spend more time in that state. It essentially like it it I'm sorry, my train of thought completely derailed right there. But essentially what I'm saying here is that like it makes it way easier to fall into this trap when you live that kind of life. When you're in that sort of like emotional, like anxious, fearful state all the time, it's easier to fall into those emotional states. But anyway, people end up in that emotional state. They end up learning some critical thinking. They analyze their thoughts and feelings, and they realize that what they're experiencing are feelings and they're not necessarily led by truth, or like that you can have a belief and that belief is not truth unless it's like founded, like there's like some foundational objective thing that you are talking about. So it's like there's this process a lot of people move through where they're like realizing that they're captured by their emotions, and they work through it and they process it, and then they come out the other side with critical thinking skills and hopefully like having dealt with a lot of that stuff. And honestly, I think that that's not even just a bigot kind of point of view, but like there are a lot of people in our community who have to go through that kind of process. Like personally, I know that when I was approaching my transition and learning more about myself and doing all of that, I was very much having to deprogram a lot of internal transphobia that, our society just naturally pushes into us over the course of our development in our lives. It's just like in the fabric of our society, especially if you live in like a red state like I do. Grew up with a lot of like disgusting kind of impulses like that that are just like bred into you almost culturally, and you have to do a lot of deprogramming. You have to kind of analyze that stuff and be like, why do I feel this way? Where is this coming from? How did this occur? And how am I going to see myself out of this kind of mindset or situation? And yeah, so like I don't think this is just important to talk about in the sense of like trying to understand what's going on in the brains of people who are hateful and terrible people, but also what goes on in our own brains when we realize that like you have like a belief that is basically internal transphobia, and how are you going to process that and deal with that?
I wanted also kind of to jump in here too, just a second. I think some comment moderation of a lighter sort. There is, I think, a person he mentioned, like situations where, like, kind of in addition to the fight or flight response, that they freeze, and then another person saying that that's, like PTSD. And I do want to make sure that in the chat, when it comes to any past trauma or any experiences that are triggering, upsetting, disturbing, but that only we can know inside. Um, make sure that we're keeping an inclusive and welcoming environment for everybody. Sometimes when people mention that they might have a history of, traumatic experience, traumatic response, and being a survivor to that, even just mentioning it can be difficult. So I think when people mention that, we ought to give them patience and time to reply or listen as needed and make them feel comfortable with that, because you never know where in a journey of moving forward, recovery, whatever a person wants to call it for themselves, and that's subjective. We never really know where in that journey somebody is, and I feel that just respecting people to ensure that we don't accidentally backpedal on, even if that isn't the intent, even if we're saying anything that is just meant to be simply like a addition of factor or something. We ought to be careful with those. It's something I noticed in the chat. I get I might be an advocate for trauma and survival too, but I just want to make sure that nobody feels it can be intentional. It can be intentional. Sometimes somebody says a thing and it is taken in a different way from someone else. I think when it comes to trauma response, more prone to that, if not for the same loony brain theories that I mentioned, but also just because we never know what someone's going through inside, right? Somebody could look like the patch of light on the earth in front of you. They could look like animals follow behind them and just sing, like the birds and just like bunnies hopping, and they could be miserable inside. You never really know. So just um, treat others how we wish to be treated ourselves. Um, sorry about that.
No, yeah.
Did I? I don't know. I just wanted to make sure that's something. I completely forgot the subject though.
No, you're fine. There is no subject. The subject is whatever we
Oh,
decide to make it.
I think we also kind of had like I was at the bottom of the chat comments too. The only last one that I saw that looked like it was a little bit new was somebody that mentioned um, if somebody runs like a group, like a trans-led group of any kind, I would probably broaden that to say any like trans business owner or trans like meetup group leader, anyone that it seems like the focus is like either socially active or publicly recognizable as the potential topics for other episodes. That one person was looking for examples given bushwalking, hiking, trans skydiving, markets, trans communities, trans nights, club nights, and it seems like the focus there being just like those who kind of lead trans community are trans leaders. Notice that pause there are trans and leaders um, to really emphasize that these are leaders of our world and they just happen to be trans. But that would be really cool to find too. Um, we definitely need people that we can inspire. Inspire? Well, it's good to inspire people too, but we need people that can inspire us. And another comment, I don't remember where, but somebody did also mention more hope, more positive commentary, stories that are uplifting and hopeful. And I emotionally agree with that so much. We see too much doom and gloom on social media. Um, and it's not healthy for people. We need to be reminded what life is about, right? Like the fun and that, even the experience of life as a sandbox, it can be what we make of it. It could be miserable, but it could be better. And some of that requires remembering that there is more to life than just misery. So I think, yeah, wholesome, positive content, probably not the focus. It is also important to recognize real adult negatives in life, that life can be down, that's valid. Life could not be up without down, right? Like, there needs to be perspective, and life is a roller coaster. But I do think that positive content's really great. I think that was most of the
Yeah.
I think that was most of the posts, your posts input at this time. And I know that there's also some input here in the chat too. And I would probably just say that going forward, anyone that has input should probably be able to like do we have like a suggestion box anywhere, like a thing that's like either an email address or a dedicated go to this one place to send suggestions and then any one part of the team could see that. Or
We do
maybe that's
not,
something that we
but
could work on.
I was gonna set up like an email or something specifically for the podcast. I'm gonna have to work on that. Probably right after this, I will work on that. Just get something. I got to think of like some kind of branding for what to call this specifically. But other than that, like I think it should be very doable. But yes, definitely want to try to get something where people can reach out and contact us specifically with suggestions, feedback, all that wonderful stuff. I think, like going through the different comments, it just kind of gives like an idea of like, yeah, here are some potential things that we could talk about. Uh, but yeah, like it's really a lot of it will be dependent on the guest or whatever's going on. So like, it's just kind of like things that you can consider looking forward to hearing about in the future. But yes, I think we pretty much covered all of it. I would say that we could move to like the fun half, and it doesn't have to be half because we're already an hour 18 in, so like we don't have to do like an
This
hour
is already
18
so
of
fun. The fun half must be super fun.
Yeah, exactly. The fun half, I mean, we're gonna party. Like we're gonna straight up have like a rave in here or something. Um
Are the people in your chat people, wonderful people, are you having fun too? Is this something that you feel is nice to listen in on? Is there anything that we could do that you would like to see? Because this second fun or half is a product of the people, right? If you want to see us do something, happy to do it. But we can't read brains, right? Unless you can read minds. I haven't adopted that ability yet. I know that we're of the trans species and we all have brainwashing powers. And the first stage of that is development of reading brains, right? We can read the brains before we intercept the brains, and that is unique to this transgender species of humanoids. And I think that's I'm still waiting on
Right.
reading brains. Sounds like such a great thing to be able to do. I'm waiting on that one. Maybe
What I
my next
wonder,
my
I
next moon
wonder,
cycle.
I wonder if it would be a great thing. I kind of feel like it might not be such a great thing sometimes, but
We can already read brains, and it's called anxiety.
yeah. I definitely have the experience of thinking that I can read brains, but then that just being my anxiety, just being like all over the place. And the funny thing about that is always that it's like you're so convinced that you're right about what the person is thinking, and then you hear from them and it's like completely different. And you're like, oh well, I guess maybe I wasn't as reasonable as I thought I was. But yeah, no, even if I did have theoretical brainwashing powers, I would not be able to say so on air because, like I gotta keep the visage, the mask laid over top so that people don't realize my top secret. My my my
That you're
agenda.
amazing.
Oh, thanks. No, like that I'm here to brainwash
It's not
everybody
really a
into
secret.
being trans. I well,
Yes. Yes. I had my daily report this morning, as we all did. And it seems like we're on it. Good job. The higher ups wanted me to tell you that you're doing a great job today, and that there is coffee, tea, and cookies back in the office when you get back.
yay.
Just make sure that you take the envelope because it's a bunch of happy photos of insert your version of Vision Joy. Um, and then just they wanted that as a welcoming gift to being part of the team. Welcome to the team.
Yeah, it's a mysterious but important work. Uh, that was a Severance reference. If anyone has seen that show, it is
You
so
got
funny.
$2 to $2. You got $2 to let me know I should do a mini ASMR section. And I think honestly, crazy, this microphone I got like right when COVID start because I was trying to speed run like Breath of the Wild. Yes, the game that existed before Tears of the Kingdom. And I got this microphone, and when I heard it, I'm not like directly in the microphone itself, but you can have that like throughput for the microphone. It sounds so like crisp, like you can hear. I don't even know what this would sound like. I also don't want to sound alert if it gets really sound loud, but like,
No, it's good.
not, is that does that come through?
No,
I
and
don't know.
Discord's pretty
No.
good about noise suppression.
Oh, it
Yeah,
might be that, but I'm not sure why somebody wants an ASMR section of me then. I'll do it. If it's something
you
that
do have a
happens,
very
I can
nice
do it.
voice. Like your voice is very soothing to listen to, for sure,
Thank
for
you.
sure.
That's it's good to hear that because anxiety, right?
No, I think both of us actually have like a pretty good. I hate my voice, but people apparently like listening to it. So, I think it's good to have two people that are told that they
Your
have
voice
nice
makes me
voices.
envision the taste of like salted caramel. It has that pleasant like I guess how trying to connect like sound to taste like when you have salted caramel that kind of goes down and it's both like sweet but you have like just like a little texture that's just like the little like the peppering on top. I guess it's not peppering if it's salt and it's literally like the one salt is not pepper but salted caramel, great voice, use it.
Thanks. I appreciate that. No, it's definitely that's nice. Um, I could see that for sure. Yeah, now I'm just thinking about dessert. That made me think about like dessert and candies and treats, and I'm like, that sounds nice. Uh, let's see here. It looks like we're getting some good responses in the chat from people that are saying that they're enjoying the things. Yeah, the
Somebody wants to
audio.
show off their Minecraft world, which, that kind of sounds like the thing where if a fan submitted screenshot or a series of screenshots were sent, just a suggestion, I would probably have that pop up on the screen during like a future episode and just like look at it because that would be really cool to see. I want to see what this Minecraft world looks like. Probably looks better than my, like, underground chicken TNT farm that when I showed my boyfriend, he just years later, he still brings it up at parties about, like, "Yeah, Breezy has this, like, TNT chicken farm that just, haunted me before." And, this world, describing it as a Minecraft world and not like a town, I feel like it's just a whole world of stuff. I would love to see this. Andrew Christopher, please show us. Please set this up somehow where we can see this world and make it work. Shout out the internet, make it happen. This needs to be. And
Yeah, I mean, we gotta appeal to the Zoomers somehow, right? Like we gotta get the younger generation in on this as well. So having like Subway Surfers or whatever games they're Minecraft and stuff like on this, you know how like Zoomer editing, how like there's always like a bunch of like sounds happening underneath and like cutaways and like there's always like second screen content within the video that you're watching someone play like a phone game while they're talking while it's like someone in my chat actually shared a video with me the other night that was supposed to be like a political video by some content creator, and it has that kind of like zoomer editing, like it's like a video about Jeffrey Epstein, but it's like 2 hours of like zoomer edited like information being blasted at you. And
uh,
I can't, my millennial brain cannot handle that. I literally like it's
I'm not.
just like
I don't know how comfortable I am with the idea of like content that, if we're talking Zoomers and younger generations, how close that should permeate extended reach to anything related to Jeffrey Epstein. I think children, Epstein.
well, like Gen Z are like not all children anymore, right? Like I think I don't actually know, but I think some of those
You're all
people are like
children. You can't
adults
convince me otherwise.
now.
And I will now officially say I'm old. This is officially public record. I am old. I can now call everyone else kids and get off the streets. And now I have entered, and I just leveled up. And I imagine that that means I will have some kind of ego trip in the next 5 minutes about it. But I don't know. Just Epstein and kids. No, no, please,
Yeah.
please,
I
please,
am
no.
looking forward to an episode where we can finally have a Zoomer explain what Skibbity Toilet is to me on here.
We
That
all
would
want to
be
know, right? We all are like, what is this?
I don't
I,
get
I
it.
was at I was at a party like a few days ago with some friends, and we like it comes up because it's like their daughter coming home from school and just being like skippity toilet 6'7". It's just like what is going on? And I apologize. I am now like killing off a whole potential section of audience from this, and you just lost like the
No, it's fine.
um the TikTok lobby. You just lost that. I'm sorry.
I get no, it's totally fine. Like honestly, like I get that there's like analytic reasons to like try to appeal to like some of these like younger generations or whatever. But I am a millennial and I am old and I just like I don't know. It's just I'm like a baby millennial and I feel old. Like I feel like pretty ancient compared to some of these youngins. And I don't know, I feel like it's probably just something that like bleeds through in my content. I would imagine that there's a lot of younger people who don't even watch my content because I don't do the like zoomer editing. Like my videos are just like kind of straight cut. And so like I would imagine that I lose the attention of a lot of those people just kind of by default. Um yeah. But you know, it's fine. It's fine. I I kind of have no desire to like someone said this somewhere. I actually don't even remember where it was. It might have been in this comment section. Someone had a comment about how they were like, I appreciate you presenting yourself how you want to present and not based on what's yeah, absolutely love your style. I love seeing people who express themselves how they want to and not just like what's popular. And I think that that's like a good vibe to bring forward into the podcast where it's like I'm not trying to be a personality here on YouTube to just like catch the broadest net of people so that I can hit 20 million subs and like uh explode into mainstream relevance or whatever um I kind of have no desire to do that to my personality or to be that kind of person. Like I just want to express myself pretty authentically on here. And if I guess kind of where I'm at with it is if that ends up not being good enough, quote unquote, or like enough for me to build a platform, then it is what it is. Because I don't really want to I just don't really want to like force some kind of fake personality. I feel like that's exhausting. Like I spent a long time masking as an autistic individual, and I just can't even mask anymore. Like I just don't have the energy for it. So I can't imagine doing something like that. Um,
Is masking like the general masking your identity, or is that like a specific term?
like masking autism where you like you try to act like
Okay.
you're not autistic basically, like you try to force fit in with people, which often is extremely draining. And it's just much easier for me to just be who I am and just accept the consequences of that, whatever it may be. Um,
It's important. Yeah, be your authentic self. Um,
yeah,
so
yeah.
that's
That's what I hope. I hope everyone who comes on here like feels like that. Like I want everyone to feel like they're allowed to be their authentic self and express themselves and have real conversations on here and talk about stuff that the mainstream media doesn't want you to hear. The experts are afraid for you to watch this podcast because we have the secrets. We have the real truth. We have the we are the only ones who can provide you the. No, I'm kidding, but
this is the real good stuff that like the corporations don't want you to hear. Okay, and like I know we weren't going. Yes, we weren't going to talk. We talked about the meeting earlier. We weren't supposed to talk about this here right now, but I think the people ought to know. These people feel like they're ready for it. I think they can handle the truth. I feel like we've already established our credibility here, that we are insiders, and we have mad like crazy cautionary tales that people need to hear right now. And that is going to be our second half of the portion, which is just kind of day-to-day stuff, normal lives, and the dark secrets.
right, right,
If I had a
exactly.
soundboard, like a sound effects, just like that, just like right after saying dark secrets. And then now it's like a Netflix promo or something.
Yeah, we should have like an intro to the fun half that like makes it like seem like it's gonna be this like do you need to do you want to know the secrets to everything? Like keep watching in order, and then it's just us like yeah.
Every
So I tied
podcast needs a jingle. Like there's got to be like a do 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 or something that just kind of like, and now we're back, and it gets the brain. It activates the brain to like the brand, right? So, brain brand.
yeah.
That's not.
That's a good point. I should maybe think about that and try to maybe put together a little jingle or something because I do have experience with music stuff, so I could try that. But
Should do it. Should
yeah,
never overthink it. This perfectionism gets in the way of a lot. I feel that from what I've seen, a lot of people just like something recognizable, memorable, something that really kind of captures the tone. And I think if a big part of the tone that we've already established is just kind of coming on here and being authentic, being as you are. I'm being, I'm just talking casually too. I'm a goofy person. I say weird things sometimes. I might say something and then apologize. Yeah, and all I can do is learn. So like I'm not perfect either, but I think talking here is just like talking to me if it was like, I don't know, like a Friday night hanging out at like a bar, hanging out at, like uh, a park bench, and you walk by and it's just like I want to say, "Oh, your shoes look cool. Where'd you get them?" Like that kind of conversation. But you got to have a jingle to that, right? Like do 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 do,
yeah,
and then you can promote it.
yeah,
There's a jingle, a two
yeah. That's
second
true.
jingle.
True. True. Yeah, I gotta come up with all sorts of branding for the podcast and stuff. I think that'll actually be kind of fun. Um, but yeah, we'll definitely be thinking about that for sure. So I get yeah. I mean, I guess if we're doing fun half stuff, like I don't know, like what did you eat for
What's a
breakfast
day in the
or
life for you?
uh,
What is or even just like, so what is today? Saturday? Wait, no, it's Sunday.
It's
Wait, no, sorry, it's actually Wednesday. But like,
Wednesday.
what was your last weekend like, right? It's still kind of half a week away, probably still fresh in your brain. I would assume your weekend's a little bit more chill. Or you said you've actually been a really busy person in life lately, right? Maybe
Yeah.
it was less chill.
Yeah, no, actually, a lot of not chill lately, actually.
Oh
The last
no.
last weekend, well, not oh no, actually. It's like it's festival season.
Oh
So,
yes.
like as I talk about this a lot like on my channel, but I'm a flow artist. For those of you who don't understand what that is, you can go on my link tree and look at my Instagram. My link tree is in the description of this stream. But yeah, it's I do flow arts. It's like a circus, sideshow, performance art slash movement art slash health and wellness thing or whatever. Like it's hard to describe because it's kind of a lot of things. But yeah, so like there's festivals. There are fire spitting festivals throughout the summer where essentially you go and you take workshops, and then at night there's like a fire circle where it's basically like a rave, but we're all spitting fire together. There's like DJs and we're all just watching and hanging out, and it's pretty awesome. There's performances, there's all sorts of good stuff going on. It's a wonderful time. So there's a lot of those happening, and like last month I had like two different events that I went to. I'm currently gearing up for another one, not this weekend, but next weekend, which is going to be a very exciting event. It's like one of the largest events that I'll be at this summer. So it's going to be huge, like international kind of event. Some really, really cool times are going to happen. I'm very excited for it. But yeah, no, it's definitely, I've been very busy. Like a day in the life for me, usually like without the flow art stuff, or like the festival stuff is, like I get up, I do my little morning routine, and then got a Fred hair in my mouth. And then I usually like do some kind of like errand or chore, whatever I have to like adulty kind of get stuff done kind of thing for a while. And then after that, I will usually jump into my flow practice. And at that point, I'm a little bit obsessive about it. I probably spend at least 2 to 3 hours a day practicing flow arts and spinning and drilling and working on other elements within that. Like I have been getting into community organizing, which is very apropos for me. So like working with like people to organize like certain online elements of the flow arts community as well as like in-person events. There are some in-person events that I went to over the past couple years that I really like the org team for. Like they're like more local events. But I love the team and I love the events. So I recently have started getting involved with that. So yeah, I do that for like anywhere from 3 to 6 hours, however long, and then I try to do food. I eat stuff. Sometimes I plan that ahead of time. Sometimes I just wing it, like in very ADHD fashion of like I'm hungry now. Where's the food? But yeah, after food, I usually try to chill out a little bit and hang out. Sometimes, like, if I have to stream, that's usually the point at which I start streaming, where I've done my eating and my daily stuff, and then I do my stream, and then I decompress, and then I stay up way too late. I don't know. What's your day like? That was a lot. That was way too much information.
Every day's been different for me because I have a couple of different projects that I'm working on. I guess so. Like officially, which I don't know if I ever did like a little intro at the start. Technically, I just kind of said like, oh yeah, I oversee a nonprofit. But my name is Bree Taylor. If you want my middle name, that's extra. She/her pronouns, and I am a little bit new to the Midwest, just a little bit, just a little bit, just a little bit. I'm originally from California. I've lived in some other states. I've also lived in some other countries, and but I like to say that California girl. But if you ask about where in California, San Francisco. So a punk, a ghetto punk who really puts credibility to when Fox News says California fine place. That's me. And I have no shame in that, which I don't know. I like California. It's not for everyone though, but I do love it, and I miss the fog there too, the weather. Things just a little bit calmer. But what we don't get out there is snow. And right now I live in Michigan, and I've been doing a lot of work kind of in like Michigan, Ohio area for the past couple years. And so that's just been kind of like one pivot in life, but I have established that pivot now. So I'm in like a really great place to talk about how it's going pretty well and it's very comfortable. Um, but so couple years ago after moving, I founded this as a nonprofit. I've been overseeing it as executive director since. It's been growing from, like a startup in Michigan to now like just multiple different branches in other states with other places on the way. And it's all like a connected network of different on the ground teams and all unifying that under a shared goal of empowering the transgender community across America. And it's been, as mentioned earlier, very rewarding, very uplifting. It's been a true honor, and it's been impressive, like how the advocacy world is real business. Like it's just getting to it. It's like getting people mobilized and engaged, educated, trained, passionate about fighting for something, as opposed to like why are we even doing this if there's no hope, right? And it's been amazing. It's been incredible. And anyone that wants to ask about the nonprofit is super welcome to. I guess the one plugin is that every now and then I've been using our nonprofit YouTube account just to say like hello or howdy or how do you do. And so if anyone is interested in the stuff that we've done, there's some things on that like legislative bill breakdowns or just some of our past events that we've streamed and some other goofy content too. So if anyone wants more trans content, that's a good one. And then also plug in if anyone wants to actually be on our nonprofit YouTube account, even in a manner kind of like this virtually or otherwise, definitely reach out too because we do want more faces in the content that we have. Our content is largely me right now, but it shouldn't really have to be. I do know that there's a great deal of reason why some people don't necessarily want to have their face on camera in an American political setting at this time, and there's very much the need to be safe and be careful about if you do choose to do that. But there are also a lot of people who I feel just do want that opportunity, whether they feel it's important, whether they feel that maybe they just like being on camera. There's a whole lot of reason for that, and it's all important, it's all respected here, and it's all valid. So, tangent on the nonprofit. I also then at some point, a little bit, second half of last year, founded a for-profit, which is called Book Holdings, and it's basically growing into a small umbrella incubator, and that is more for-profit world. But I'm using the professional experience that I've learned in a nationally growing nonprofit setting for the side project of mine. And I'm mentioning that only because it does cut into my day to day a lot. It's either like Zoom meetings or phone calls or market research or like, just developing the roadmaps for multiple things within that, like together. And like that's basically like the sweat equity put into that means I'm not getting paid for any of that, but it's real effort, it's real time, it's like real plan building. And I do think that any serious business probably wants to invest that sweat capital at the start because if you just say I'm going to make a business and you like do that, then it might signify you have less of a plan. But if you put a lot of time into like, what is this going to look like? Who do I need on the team? What do I want it to be? And there's a challenge there for me because I'm trying to put together like a progressive growing company, something that is meant to hire marginalized communities, something that is meant to empower, like it's in the name, right? Woke, to empower the word woke in a way that it's like, yeah, I hear the criticism. You're calling libtards woke, but who wouldn't want to be woke, right? Like everything that you're describing there, everything that you're bucketing into the problem is a social good. It's advancing our country. And it is like, why wouldn't you want to use that? Why wouldn't you want to reclaim that, right? So, reclaiming the word woke is something that I feel is an important cause. It sounds superficial and petty, but it isn't. And so, in building a company team, I feel that that energy also needs to go in there. What does the company do? How does it give back to a community? How does it give back to the environment? How does it treat its workers fairly, with equity, with the rights that they ought to be within like a team of laborers who build the means of production? How do we respect them in a way that isn't just like my boss makes a dollar, I make a dime, right? if you can build that, if you can really tap into making that solvent, if you can really tap into making that profitable, because it is a business, then you can create something that I feel is a safe harbor for the working class in the US right now by using the same loopholes, using the same legal defenses, using everything that they have very publicly for a long time, and say, there's no reason we can't do that too, so screw you. I also don't really know to what degree I can swear here.
You
I
can
like
swear. It's fine.
fun fact. If this was something covered under the FCC, then there definitely are certain vulgar terms you can't use, or else you're subject to penalties. But there are safe harbor hours that you can refer to, but this isn't FCC covered, right? This is, I think, through private companies that can stream and host whatever they want. But I didn't want to like start swearing because, fun fact about me as well, I swear all the time. I think I have what they call a sailor's mouth, but I also don't want to. Part of this is very much also making the audience feel that like I'm not too, too rude or too much. I don't want to look unwelcoming. So, but that being said, like I swear all the fucking time. So,
Yeah, I
um,
swear a lot too, honestly. And I used to swear less on my channel, like a little bit intentionally, but I think like with the nature of politics and everything that has happened over the past 2
it's
years or
stressful.
whatever.
You kind of need a swear vent every now and
Yeah,
then.
like it's
Like,
sometimes like I'm just so angry sometimes when I'm talking about certain stuff. It's just like it's just what's going to come out, and like any again anything else would be inauthentic, and so I just like
right.
I try to keep that in mind. Yeah, no, swearing is totally fine. If anything, I think it makes people seem a little more relatable. Obviously some people are going to be a little like, "Ooh, you shouldn't be doing that" or whatever, but I think
There's
for the most
sometimes
part.
too. If somebody in the chat was like, if I saw someone in the chat and they're like, my daughter had a question for all of you. I'm just gonna type it out here. I might not tell this wonderful, like, beautiful child, what the hell's up? Like I might be a little more like, oh hey, welcome here. A little bit more um, setting an example.
Right. I think most of
But
my
only
audience
but, like, the
are.
irony being only at that moment and the rest of the time being,
Yeah.
like, "Pat example."
No, I get you.
I'm not a hero.
I think
I'm not a hero.
I think most of us here are adults. I would assume that the majority of my well, based on my analytics, most people are that watch me are adults.
I
But
mentally stopped developing past 17, and I'm still wearing, like, the, Zoomies jeans at the store that are all tattered, and, like, I paid extra for these tatters because 'cause I'm so emo inside. I didn't develop past that, but, like, yeah, I am my shell is of adult. I'm old, right? I mentioned that.
yeah, I get that.
Not that old. Still got it.
No, I think that like I don't know. I get kind of annoyed with the like, oh, I'm so old. Like I know I said it literally earlier about myself, but I try not to do that
Age
super
is a beautiful
often.
thing.
It is.
I embrace it. I embrace getting older.
Yeah, like well,
Um,
like I think particularly from the trans perspective, I think that a lot of us have like I don't envy my youth. Like I don't look back on my youth and well, there's a lot of reasons. I had a very traumatic childhood, but like outside of that, having grown up the wrong gender and these very awkward weird feelings, like I don't like idolize my youth. I actually idolize my present because I am living the dream, the fantasy, the thing that I never thought possible for myself right now, and it has become my reality. And every day is like this significant blessing to me. So like if anything, I'm probably going to enjoy the last half of my life way the fuck more than I enjoyed the first half of my life. That's just probably going to be the way it is. Like I don't want to frame it in the sense that like I hated every single thing about my first 30 years of life or whatever, but I do want, like there is a very clear distinction between probably especially with me because my childhood was traumatic. Like I didn't grow up with the happy family, mom and dad, and everything's good, and you're full of love, and like there was a lot went wrong in my childhood, and so like I don't know, like I look back on that as a very dark time, and everything since then has almost just been getting better. Uh, which is a interesting perspective. But yeah, I get a
would you
little bit
say
annoyed
that
with it. Oh, go
there's
ahead.
If there are things getting better, would you say there's also other things that haven't gotten better yet, but that you're like in a good place to actively work on for
Oh, yeah,
yourself to
yeah.
like move forward?
Yeah, actually, recently, this is interesting 'cause I made a video lately about talking about, like, transition traps. Uh, and one of them is to, like, let yourself move past your transition at some point, like, things outside of your transition can start taking the front seat, once you're at a certain point with it. And after when I was pre-transition, like, I gave up on all my art, like, I slowly stopped doing art over the course of, like, 5 years as, like, the depression and everything really started to sink in my late 20s. And now that I've transitioned and I'm, like, going through this process, like, that fire, that passion, that will to live, all that stuff has come back, and so I've had this experience of, like, re-entering art, like the flow art stuff. I, like, basically I left the community. I, like, basically stopped practicing for years, I just, I would do it every now and then, but it was very much, something I didn't have the emotional or physical energy for to do at all. But getting back into it and allowing the art to come back into my reality and into my life has been a deeply, deeply satisfying thing. I can't even describe how much joy it brings me. Like I've said this before on my channel, but if it were not for flow arts and the flow arts community, I would probably have very little hope, uh, like for humanity or hope for the future or anything because flow arts like gets me out of bed and gives me purpose and allows me to express myself, and the community is extremely welcoming, very queer friendly. There are a lot of queer people in the flow arts community. It is like there's a lot of it's a subculture, so a lot of like counterculture people or subculture kind of people end up there. um but yeah, no, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. I think letting that stuff back in has been really, really satisfying, like I said, and I'm excited to do more of it, honestly. Like I used to do photography and videography, and I have a really nice camera that I used to love going out and taking like photos of flowers and stuff with. And like lately that itch has been starting to come back too. And it's like, ooh, I'm so excited because flow arts, fire spinning and all this stuff. You get like so many opportunities to catch beautiful moments and like really expressive uh like like moments from people. It's just it's wonderful. So yeah,
I'm
yeah.
kind of wondering if like, and maybe like, I think this is like a direct question for the audience too, and then just kind of like hear me out because it's a little long, but it feels like something that I commonly note from some people, um, who you know initiate, begin, proceed with, etc., like a transitional journey, the experience, whatever the word or term quote unquote transition means for a person, right? And that's subjective too. But for people that, have, I don't know, began for lack of a better term, and then at some point hit that like, I want to call it like return to identity, where for me, a lot of the mental focus and time when I like came out to myself and then began like my transition, um, was focused on the transition, right? A lot of stuff in life was like kind of on pause. It was a mix of like some things that were either on pause, either from like a social perspective or from like a functioning perspective, and then other things that like I was still functioning in life, right? Like I was still doing things. I think I was taking classes at the time, and like paying my own bills and everything, and there being a balance there. But some things do kind of get put on pause, right? Like wherever you are in life, that transition is important where it's like you really want to give it as much attention to detail as you can, do your own research, like, the game of impatience where it's like, oh, I'm starting like pills now. Did it work? And like a day later, and then like I still have with me. It's not this one, but it's something like a little diary. If you open it up, it would have like military time and then a date, military time, date, and it was just like columns of that because every single little like 2 milligram, 1 milligram estradiol pill I logged it. I logged it because I have some slight medical inclinations, and for me, it was like a ledger of like um, one, a reminder, did I take that thing that I take like 4 times a day now every day? Or two, just kind of like the little momentum of like I could look back later in the future and see like this was really important to me. And maybe to remind myself that like, yeah, it was important to me. It's a great thing that I did and had the opportunity to do. But a lot of stuff gets put on pause, right? So before whatever that initiation process is, and thank you all for your patience. This one is kind of long. Before that like initiation part, before it's like I'm beginning my transition, or like I'm whatever you feel like is that kind of point of like that inflection point of something for you there in life. You still had life, right? Passions, dreams, hobbies, friends, goals, romantic partners, etc. And when things get put on pause, it's not like you're magically a different person, right? It's like if you liked woodworking and then you came out and transitioned, you probably still love woodworking, right? But maybe you didn't have as much opportunity to. Maybe like the clubs that used to be part of that would help that, maybe they turned you away, and it's like, oh, it's not that I don't like woodworking anymore. It's just now I have to put in the time to find a new place, a new space for that third space of like what I like. And, that kind of like delays just like an immediate life is still going on in some cases. So I'm wondering if other people kind of feel that like reintegrating the who I am now, which can mean like social, external, like the face of who you are, internally, like, coming to terms with yourself, what you're, you know, wanting as a decision to live your authentic life, like, like fully transitioning, waiting, like whatever your decision is there. But that's still being like kind of when things get put on pause, even just having that decision, even if it's to be in the closet or remain a little bit more like, I'll do this later. I'll do this a few years from now when I move out. I'll do this when I find a job. I'll do this when the political environment is changed, hoping it changes, and I'll just wait right now. It still kind of broke your egg there in that, like, you know what you want, so that puts things on pause too. And I'm wondering if people feel that they have enough opportunity, like if they can really conceptualize that a lot of who a person is gets kind of like temporarily halted when somebody begins to transition, but they need to still find that back in the future, right? They still need to find like, who am I really? Like, who is this person? Like, I'm not just like a woman, right? Like, I'm a human being who, like, I'm a DIY mechanic. I love video games. I have like several generation of fish in a 75-gallon tank that I like oversee. I like love science. I love talking about the universe. I love talking about like philosophy. I love talking about like our journeys. I love bringing that all together in a way because I believe that this is your time right now. You never get that back. Like, you are here for whatever reason, and we can hate that, we can love it, we can come to terms with it, but we are here right now, and every day that we let slip by is a day you do not get back. And we need to remember sometimes that we will run out of time. So what are we going to do with that time that we have remaining? When we get put on pause, that part, that genuine, authentic part of who we are, like me, the video gamer, that part does not get to live. And if it's because like I need to feel safe to, you know, transitional journey, or even just more generally, like, okay, like I want to finish college, I want to, like another year at this job, and then I'll leave, and then like then life will pick up. Like, are people finding enough opportunity with that like transitional experience on top of it, like of all things, right? Do people feel like they're finding enough opportunity, or that they can factor in that they do have that opportunity to execute, to return to identity and integrate like this external persona that you see for yourself inside now you're creating that externally with all the things inside people don't necessarily get to see if they just look at you, right? Like your dreams, your passions. Do people feel like they're getting that internal external like return to identity? And I would love to try to build a conversation from that, and it's a lengthy one, but again, I love talking about um spiritual needs. And I think that introspection is spiritual, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that I mean, we could do a whole entire podcast episode on this kind of topic, for sure. I think there's a lot there. And yeah, it is interesting how transition is one of those things that like you start and it's almost like let me pause and kind of like deconstruct everything around me in a way and go through this process of forging something new and like like you said, if you love something before like a hobby, chances are you'll probably love it after unless you had like some weird gendered reason for doing it. Like I know some people, like they work out super hard before they begin transitioning and like trying to lean into the masculine or lean into the feminine in whatever way. But it like most of the time like you're like the same person after you're just you but like a more authentic version of you. And I find that beautiful and kind of fascinating because it shows how like there is like some objective groundwork to your being. There are just elements of you that like, like people tend to think that like, oh, well, you transition, like you've completely reinvented yourself. And it's like, well, like yes and no. Like yes, but like really like you're going to rebuild yourself and you're going to find out a lot of it is actually the same. Like you might think that it's going to be dramatically different, but you realize like there are some subtle changes, but really like a lot of like your life and the things that you do end up being kind of similar. It's just like a different perspective that you're taking and a different identity structure that you've built around those things. Which is beautiful and like I think that that's like an interesting like a lot of trans people have conflicts with that all the time, like where they like what they love woodworking. They're a trans femme and they love woodworking. And they start to feel like, well, am I allowed to still love woodworking like after I transition? Because like that's kind of like a male hobby or mask hobby or what however you want to describe it. And it's like you have to really like learn to challenge that within yourself because like if you looked at a cis woman and she was like I love woodworking, you wouldn't be like oh really because like that's like such a guy thing, like you wouldn't do that, like most of us would not do that, but then you like you're a trans person
A lot of
yourself.
people do though, and like that's it, right? You're hitting sexism and the patriarchy. But
Right, right,
there are a lot of cis women who check cis women on like how much of a woman are you, right? And just like a lot of cis men who check cis men on like how much of a bro are you, bro?
right, right.
And like, but that's just like the conformity model there too. Sorry, toxic masculinity, toxic femininity, and those are just different things that you'll find people who I think it's pretty well said already, like both within and even outside of the community, that like trans people kind of already break that one mold of like, oh, I looked within, I understand like who I am, and like that, you know, identity has a gender, and like this is my gender, right? And then that being something that you actually have to like find, that you have to discover, that there's like a little like quasi enlightenment of like, oh no, yeah, wow, that people usually just have self discovery or like the journey of life, or just like that breaking point of like I can clearly feel this, I just won't acknowledge it because I can't, or I'm not permitted to. And then that conflict, the huge conflict there, just building up for decades, but then ultimately it's somebody at, like in their 60s still being like, okay, yeah, I'm transitioning. I can't end life like pretending, right? And then, but still finding like great joy from that. And it's definitely, well, yeah, like, I don't know, just, it's important that things like that get talked about more lately, because like there's, uh, you know, how many people out there that it's like, I feel that same way too, but they feel alone in that because they just don't know that somebody like, yourself, me, others are just like casually talking about it on like little podcasts, right? And it's just like people are like, oh yeah, no, of course, that's how, like, we get it too, right? You're not alone.
Yeah,
That's healthy.
yeah, yeah, for sure. For sure. Um, I would say, we should maybe consider like we could probably keep going for hours, I would assume, just like kind of talking about stuff, but I know that you have a little bit of an obligation and I have don't want to keep you too long and also like I feel like, 2 hours is honestly pretty good. I feel like we got a lot of kind of like basic conversation done, kind of setting the stage for what people can expect in the future from this kind of podcast. Like obviously there will
Would
be
do you feel that asking anyone here for any last minute questions would be good? Because I do have time. I can still, like, for anything quick, and
sure,
maybe
yeah, if
somebody here has
someone
like a lasting suggestion, feedback. I'm personally, like, from a production point of view, really interested if anyone feels that they have any suggestion that might improve things here, like, from, like, a production standpoint too. The little elements that you feel like it would be nice to have. We unlike earlier, like, we actually can't read other people's brains. So, anything that you suggest, like, we'll look at it, we'll consider it. More than likely, it's something that we can incorporate
Yeah.
because, like, we
Yeah.
just don't know what people are, looking at.
Yeah, no, for sure. I
Mechanics.
would love to get feedback from people or suggestions. Also you can leave that as a comment if you want. Like in the actual live stream instead of like putting it just in chat, you can also put that as a comment or like we mentioned before, you can contact uh via like Discord for me. I will get an email set up specifically for this podcast so that I can have like a pretty direct line of communication about the podcast with stuff. I'm curious how people felt about it and how people enjoyed it. I would like a regular schedule so I can plan for it. Yeah, yeah, that would be the goal is to have this be sort of regularly scheduled.
It
I
would
would be
help with streamlining it, I think. So I think, like, that's a really good thing to point out too. Like, and I think that's something that we can also talk about too. But yeah, if it's possible and if it's nice, then the world should have it, right?
yeah. Yeah. I think this is totally doable, especially totally doable to schedule it. I mean honestly we kind of have to with the way it's set up like we're going to have to discuss like what to talk about and who's going to be there and then we need time to prepare and record or not record, research and do all that wonderful fun stuff. So I don't think that it's gonna be a very impromptu kind of thing. Like we already met up to talk about this initial episode. So yes, I would be curious about what people would like. I feel like um, doing it every week is a lot too much, especially now considering like I don't have a huge line of guests or anything. So it's it's gonna be one of those things that'll probably be a little more slow going at first, like maybe once every month or once every 2 weeks. And then from there on, we can try to increase frequency as demand increases or as the amount of guests that are requesting to come on increase. We could almost do this maybe on a more on demand kind of basis where it's not necessarily strictly every 2 weeks, but it's like every 2 weeks so long as we have guests in a topic. And if there isn't one, then we don't force it just to force it or maybe we do. I don't know. I would be curious to hear what people would like to see about that or curious what people's thoughts are on that. Definitely let us know in the chat or in the comments. And just to be clear as well, this is going to be cut into a video. So like everyone who's here right now, you're watching this live on a live stream because we are doing this live. And if you would like to be a part of the recording of the podcast, then definitely sub to my channel and keep your eyes on it. I will be making more of this, and you can be here for the actual live version of it instead of the like post produced version of it, which will honestly is probably going to be mostly the same thing. It's mostly just going to be me cutting this into a video. But like if you want to participate in chat, be on the screen, be a part of the whole recording process, that is how you can do that. Uh yeah, I would assume announcements for this will be done through like my YouTube channel and through my Discord and stuff. I'm sure like Bree might also do some stuff through the Trans Unity Coalition in terms of discussing or advertising or something of that effect. It's whatever works and we will grow this as we can. I think just sort of getting it started, getting it going is the important bit, and we can always improve or you know get this grooving as we get going. I'm not seeing a lot of interaction in the chat outside of
Somebody wanted to have a what, a cat voiceover, which I thought was great. Apparently, it's called a meow over.
2 minute meow over. uh the cat to have 2 minutes with a voiceover. Do you mean like just a camera on the cat, like, with us talking? Is that what that's requesting?
Whoa, it's almost like you mentioned this earlier when you said, like, a stream just for Fred.
Yeah, I would love to have, like, a Fred feed, a Freed.
Fred Center. It's like Fish Center, but it's Fred Center.
Yeah,
It's all
yeah.
Fred.
Oops, all Fred, yeah. I love yeah, he's such a good boy, but I need to I would have to work on that and try to find something that's gonna work there. Uh, yeah, I don't know, I have a camera, I have a nice camera that I could hook up and point it at him and stuff, but, um, I'm not sure how that conflicts with my webcam or how to do multi-source streaming or, uh oh, yeah, kinda, but you're doing the cat's voice and thoughts? Oh, I see. Okay, well, Fred's thoughts are entirely about food and pets. He either wants pets, or he wants foods, or he is sleeping. Those are the 3 modes of existence for Fred boy. Um,
Those are cats. Cats cats have figured it out. They 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 domesticated us. They're like, "We wanna have free food, good shelter, warm cuddles every night, and sometimes we'll talk to you." And they figured out evolution where they infested our homes with love. They don't care about us. They really don't. They look at us and go, "So, am I gonna get food today, or I'm gonna bite your toes?" But we love them. We're hostage. We're emotionally hostage to the feline species, and
oh, yeah.
nobody talks about that. It's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
this is the real truth we're trying to get out there on our podcast. The cat feline takeover of our species, the third planet from the sun, and nobody's talking about it. Are you not scared? Does this not concern you? You
No,
have this
definitely
like a
have
little furry murderer right behind you too. Like those things are gonna just activate one day, and like we're talking about AI, but like it's cats. Cats are gonna take us over.
have you seen, Love, Death, and Robots on Netflix? Have you
Oh, a
seen
little,
those?
not enough, not enough. Oh,
Oh,
I watched
okay.
too few shows,
No,
but
it's okay. It's there's like they have like a couple little like it's like basically little artistic
yeah,
sketches or something. But like
um,
there's one where they go over that like some robots like visit Earth wait like during after the apocalypse or whatever. So like there's no humans. It's just robots going around touring Earth. And at the very end you learn that like actually it was the cats that ended all of humanity and it's super funny, very very good stuff there. But no, I love cats. I mean, I won't complain. Like every night when Freddy jumps into my bed and gives me the snuggles, makes me happy, makes me happy. Let's see here. Those are so funny. Oh, there was a question for you. I don't know
for me.
if you wanna,
Was it for me?
from Rusty, random
Have you ever
question.
had
Yeah.
opportunity to do CPR? Um, Yeah, I guess a couple things, and this I guess it's also a nonprofit shout out too. But like we offer free CPR training for those within the trans umbrella, and that's because I'm a CPR instructor. I'm a former EMT. Got the EMT training, got the EMT license, was on the ambulance. Wee Never stand in front of an ambulance because even if no one's in it, you never know if that thing can go off, and that will pop your eardrums. So do not, repeat, do not stand in front of an ambulance. Um, Unless you're a mechanic or something, but digress. I've done real CPR on human beings before. Yeah, that's um, fun. No, fun, not fun. I don't. Sorry, I'm evil. A fact, a medical fact. If you're doing CPR in a real life situation, there's a high degree of probability that you might break somebody's ribs, and if you do that, you're not supposed to stop because a broken rib is not going to kill that person. Their heart not working is going to kill that person. But it is so distressing that people like maybe this is more of like a oh, why'd you tell me that? Now I'm thinking about it. But it's important to know, I think, because if you're already at that point where you do have to, like resuscitate somebody if they go down, and it could happen, right? Then just keep that little juicy medical tidbit in mind because if you're breaking their ribs, you're doing it right, probably. So break those
Yeah.
ribs. This is not
Yeah.
medical advice. Do not break their ribs. Please consult a medical legal attorney before you intend to break somebody's ribs. But
Right. But no,
CPR.
it's true. You know, I can see how that would be a deeply unsettling experience to be, uh, you know, doing CPR and feel someone's ribs crack underneath.
It's
But
more confusing. It's just like, oh, okay. Do I keep going?
yeah,
Which
exactly.
I had the honor, the lucky honor, and I think this is a medical joke too. I had the lucky honor of like my first time I ever did CPR on a live person was in an ER, so it was a full medical team around, right? And on my rotation of CPR, I was the lucky weakling who was strong enough to crack at the pause, and people before me, I don't know. But so I was just like, oh, and then the physician was just like, oh no, you keep going. So unfazed by it, but just like, oh yeah. And but yeah, it's just kind of like you're unsure because you can tell, like, it's just like, "Oh, something," but anyways, don't I'll stop the gross medical stuff now.
It's okay. It's all right. No, but that's interesting. That is definitely interesting. I've never had to give CPR, but I've always heard that from people that you know, you should be getting some good force into there, and that amount of force can definitely like you said, it's almost a sign that you're doing a good job that you're breaking someone's rib, which is woo.
Or also, it could also be a sign that you're not, but
Right,
just,
right,
like,
right.
it's, food for thought, more, um, food for
Yeah.
thought.
Yeah, you could go too hard. You can go too hard. That is a real thing. Um, yes. Okay, well, I didn't see too many other uh oh, where's this? We need more
I
silly
think someone
bits.
had direct experience of a broken rib, so
Oh,
I'm
really?
sorry you experienced it. Just looks like the comment implied that
Oh,
somebody might
yeah.
have known for a fact that feeling, every breath is, like, stabbing you a little, just gently enough, depending on the severity.
Oof, that does
But
sound
they do
rough.
heal. They're cool stories. You get to be that person that says like, "I've broken a rib before," and live to tell the tale.
Yeah. Uh Grace said, "We need more silly bits, loud vulgar phrases, a megaphone, and an air horn. The Howard Stern of the left. No one asked for LMAO, JK, please no." Funny. Yeah, we should make this as obnoxious as humanly possible. We should like every 3 seconds there is a comedic bit popping up on screen with air horns and squeakers and flashing lights, and you will be amused. You will be entertained. Um, uh, that's
I
cool.
um I am down to help if that requires any sort of technological setup. But other than that, yeah, I don't know. I think you got the stream portion pretty figured out. It seems like you know the software, and I don't know. Yeah, I'm happy to kind of see how this develops. This felt fun today. I hope everyone else here had a really wonderful experience. I I I'll keep talking until someone tells me to stop. And that's the kind of person that I can be sometimes. But
Well, yeah.
if the words I'm exhaling resonate with anyone else, then I'm really glad you felt that way. From my end, I'm just kind of like letting my brain relax, keeping the thoughts in my brain inside. It's kind of like, oh, I need opportunity to let them out. So right now, it's kind of letting those things out. But yeah, everything from the viewing end, experiencing listening to me, that's just how my brain works, like 24/7, even when I'm sleeping. Just kidding. When I'm sleeping, I just have dreams. But like, yeah, like just a lot of self thought. So happy to share what I'm thinking about. Hopefully, it wasn't too scary. A little bit more chill, and I'll really consider that ASMR pitch. I just need to think of the angle, like what's like they gotta be sounds, right? What would be good ASMR? Maybe that's a topic for next time.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the cat voiceover, you could do a voiceover for a cat, ASMR style, and maybe
We
that
both
would
have
be
cats. I think we could both just have our cats and then we do the voiceovers, and then it would be like a um meowathon.
Meowathon, yeah, exactly. I think that's, perfect and wonderful. I did wanna thank you for starting this, being the first guest, and for going on this initial part of the journey with me. Initially, we were just talking about, like, I think just collabing on just some content, but I'm glad that this is turning into something a little more than that, because it gives us the opportunity to do more of this in the future, but also to do more than that and have other people on and do all sorts of wonderful stuff. So it's like we're taking the opportunity of working together to do something that sort of transcends that in a way. And I feel like that is both very true to both of us, but also like just a really cool thing. And I'm excited about that. So thank you very much for being here. And also thank you to everyone who is in chat or who watched and chatted or didn't chat or just lurked or whatever, because we could not be here without you. I was really excited about the level of response that people like it like based on my post, people are very excited about this being a thing. And that makes me excited because I'm all about being able to bring more avenues of content to try to grow the community and do all that fun wonderful stuff. So this is a great opportunity for everybody. This is like genuinely enjoyable content for me to produce. Like I had a great time doing this, and I think that as we get further into it and learn more about it, and maybe like relax a little more into it as we understand the format, it'll just be better and better. So this is a beautiful, wonderful thing. Again, keep your eyes peeled. Once I have an email for the podcast, I will probably put that in my link tree or in the description of my videos or description of this or pinned in the comment or something. So it'll be around. We will have definitely more direct contact information related to the podcast to get going for stuff and things. But please reach out. Would love like we need guests. Need guests. So I'd love to hear some from some people who would love to be on. Just wanted to make this pretty clear though. Um you do need to have like video is not as important. Like I would ideally like to have some video or maybe like a little VTuber avatar or something you can put up on screen. But audio is important. If you are going to be a guest on this and you're going to chat with your like Razer cell phone, like that's just not gonna work. Like we need to have like a certain level of quality. Like it has to be workable audio. I think you're all aware of what that might be like I'm sure from listening to certain shows online.
I'm gonna also quickly jump in to say
Yeah.
too, if there's somebody that's interested in like potentially taking up an opportunity to be, featured, be a guest, and talk like share this time too, talk here with us. But you don't have like that equipment. Um, Trans Unity Coalition is a nonprofit, and with the nonprofits, you sometimes have opportunities to acquire certain, items, materials, needs for different projects. So we might be able to provide people with the equipment to actually do that. Like you probably needed a camera, but if you need like a microphone that picks up sound better than maybe that little tiny like trash bin mic that you found somewhere in a e-waste pile 20 years ago, we might be able to provide that. But I do believe that that opportunity can't be forced, right? You can buy computers, you can buy equipment, you can create a set and create time, but the opportunity to find like true story and real impact from that, like you just have to have the person who has that little passion of saying like, yeah, I want to take part in this, because you can't fake that. You can't pay somebody enough to really speak from the heart.
Yeah.
So, but sometimes you got to put yourself out there, and I believe in empowerment. I believe in inspiring people as best maybe as I could. And so if anyone does want to reach out, you're special. Like we want to hear that. Like we will never get that opportunity to, right? Unless you let us know that. So please give it some thought. If you're ever like you got the spoons back, the sun's coming out again, you can feel like the all the photons in your skin converting to vitamin D, and you're like, I'm not sad anymore. The sun has come up. Praise the sun. Then yeah, just like let us know. Maybe you're feeling it, and we could find the time to talk with you, negotiate like scheduling and everything, but we want your voice because that is your voice. No one can
Yeah.
recreate that, and it's special and powerful.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. I didn't want to sound like I was trying to exclude anyone or discourage anyone from attempting, because like I am more than happy to work with people on it to try to find a solution that works for sure.
Definitely. I'm just
But yeah,
offering the extra resource
yes,
to help
yes,
realize that for some people too. Just like
yeah,
letting that be known.
yeah. That's really really
Not a
kind of
guarantee,
you.
but like I usually just have to ask around, and that kind of stuff is like somebody out there in the community wants that one person in the community who wants to talk, and then we can help make that happen so that the other person is like, "Yay, it happened," and people
Yeah,
love that.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Grace asked, how does one get in contact with this trans resource?
I
Um,
think you're setting that up. It sounds like for like a outreach and
for the podcast specifically, yes, I'm going to set up the contact for that. But I think she was actually talking
oh, for
about what.
like the kind of like being able to get those items for people that want to join.
Mhm.
Um, I think that I don't. It kind of just came on the spot, so there's not really a pipeline or anything. I would probably say that you should reach out first if like you're interested. And that might keep things simple at this time, just to have like one line of communication for now. And then if that's something that it feels like it's working, and if the only like need there is just access to any items or materials for that to happen, I think it would be a better use of time to like discuss that at that time, or at least that's kind of like my thought there.
Right.
But
Yeah.
these things also do build, right? Like if there's something that's kind of like a soft, we're not quite sure yet right now. That could totally be different in a week. Just like in a week, that could be there. So just I would probably say keep following. And if there is currently like a main mode of communication in the works, maybe bank on that for right now because ultimately, like the two of us are talking, like the word will find its way back to like either of us. And
Yeah, yeah,
um,
exactly. I kind of imagined it happening like someone gets like Grace, I'm just going to use you as an example, not for any particular reason, but let's cuz I would love to have you on, Grace. You're very involved with a lot of like local organizing and stuff. Like definitely someone I would love to have on the podcast. I value your voice. So like if you reached out to me and we started talking about it and then it became clear that like you don't have equipment that's going to work for the production quality that we're going for, that's when we would start up that conversation of like, what can we do to try to make this a reality versus like it's not going to be like, oh, you don't have the equipment, goodbye. It's going to be like, oh, is there any potential way that we can make this work? So that will start that conversation between us, and we can try to reach out and see what's going on, what's potentially available there. So yeah, and like was mentioned, we are going to work on developing and branding this further and stuff. Like I'm one of those people where it's like I'd rather just get it going and then like kind of hammer it out as it goes. And I think that's like good. Like I think that this was a productive first episode. I think that it kind of sets the groundwork and it kind of gives us a framework to then be like, okay, we did this, but here's like the email specifically for this. I didn't think about that before recording this today, but now that we're talking about it, it's like, yeah, I think that rather than having it pipe through my email that everything else pipes through, I should have like a different email for this that I can make it very clear. Anyway, yeah, stuff like that. Oh, yeah, no, I misunderstood and thought you were talking about a general program or trans-related resources for people seeking access to media in general. Well, as far as I understand it, Trans Unity Coalition does have like resources set up for people for certain things. Like they do have quite a bit for going on. So if you're unaware with that kind of stuff, I would
yeah, more
just
generally, I'd probably say like do a web search of our nonprofit or like look at
yeah,
our website and then like there's different opportunities to either help create like more addition like within our media arm, but like that's something that does require people power and the talent. So, but if you're interested, I know there's a difference between like finding resource, like finding like trans-led media out there versus like helping to be part of a team that creates it. But I think that probably just reach out and then you might get a little bit more pointer to what you're looking for from that. It being 3 o'clock, I am gonna have to glow. I am gonna have to glow. You know, like I'm always gonna have to glow.
yes,
Um, but I'm also gonna have to, glow and go. So thank you so much for the time here today, audience. This is also very much you too. So thank you so much for being here. um, on a Wednesday, or because today's Saturday, right? But on a Wednesday, and then just joining in. And I would love to watch this grow. I'd love to find other people who are listening and want to participate. And yeah, like any suggestions, let us know, and we're happy to try to accommodate them. But I will be 23 skidooing. See, people say 6, 7. I say 23 skidoo. So like that's my number. That's my set of numbers.
There you
And
go.
I really hope to see you all again next time. So thank you so much for inviting me here and letting me just like rant about nothing really. Just crazy cat takeovers.
Yeah,
It was fun.
exactly. Yeah, thanks for being here. Have a great rest of your day. I appreciate you. Um, heck yes. Okay, cool. Let me jump over to a normal camera perspective, which is not working because I am on Discord. Give me a second. 1 second. And it's not working. Here, let me unplug my camera, replug it. I think that'll get it to function. Um, erm, webcam. Hello. Hello, webcam. What's going on? Yep, it's supposed to be working. I don't understand why it's not working. Here, let me try to figure this out, but also I will be right back. 1 second. Okay, I am back. Don't understand why this is not working. Uh, here, let me try deactivating, reactivating. Oh, yes, yes. Oh no, it's lagging. Okay, there we go. Cool. I am back and camera is working. Thank you all for being here and engaging with the podcast and chatting and doing all that wonderful stuff. You're all amazing. I really I had a great time. I thought this went very well. Um, and yeah, no, it was great. Huge success. Very, very, very wonderful thing. I'm very excited for the future of this. I think that there's a lot of potential here. I think that this could be very, very exciting. I could be very many exciting things about this. Uh, obviously a work in progress, obviously something that we're gonna have to keep working towards improving and like kind of get it work at it as we go kind of thing. But I'm glad that we got the ball rolling on this and yeah, it was wonderful. So yep, I'm gonna probably wrap up here. So I was like, normally I would stream tonight, but like, I think this kind of covers that for me. So I probably won't be a second stream tonight, just cause. Also, I wanted to mention this. You feel free to let me know in the comments or whatever if anyone has any specific thoughts about this. But you know how I do like I usually do Monday, Wednesday, Friday for my streams, right? That's normally what I do. I think that it might actually make more sense to do like just like I think I might try to stream 3 days a week, but just stream whichever 3 days end up working well for me because like I keep having this problem where like I go to flow arts festivals and stuff, right? I talk about that a fair amount. Well, those are weekend events. So like on Wednesday I'm packing and Tuesday I'm packing and Wednesday and Thursday I'm traveling and it's like Friday through Sunday whole thing and then I'm usually exhausted and that Monday I'm like wiped out. Like it usually takes me at least a day or two to like recover from it, like decompress. Um so it ends up screwing up my whole stream schedule for the week where it's like Monday coming back from a festival I'm exhausted and then like Wednesday, it's like I can do Wednesday, but if there's a festival that weekend, like I gotta, like there's a lot going on, and so I think it might work out better if it's just like I don't know, maybe some weeks I stream Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or some weeks I stream Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or some weeks I stream and I just kind of do like whatever ends up working, or like maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, or something like that. Like just like maybe I'll try to lean it towards Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Like I'll try to like sort of gear it slightly towards that, but then also um, you know, do something along the lines of like having some flexibility there so that I can not stress too much about like if I'm not available on a Monday, I don't think I should just give up. Like I think I should try to do it on Tuesday. Like you know what I mean? Just push the stream back a day. Like, that's what I should do. I'm curious what people think about that. I think most people left. Honestly, I think most people left when we ended the stream and did all that, or ended the podcast and all that. So I'm gonna hop out of here. Definitely seems like there's no one actively chatting or anything, which is totally fine. Totally wonderful. But yeah, I appreciate all of you for your engagement, for everyone for watching. Thank you all so very much for all the support lately. I definitely feel very grateful for the opportunity to be here and to build this platform. And I'm really excited about this project. This podcast to me is exciting because I like doing something good with the platform is what makes this worth it. Like, yes, I can make videos where I just yap about stuff or give you like bits of news or whatever. But I think using this platform in order to do something like this that can bring real value and real conversations, like this is something I'm super excited about. This is something that like I definitely think will be a worthwhile investment of all of our time, hopefully worth watching for all of you as well. Try to keep it that way. I know that this one was probably a little more like rambly, a little like, obviously like there wasn't like a super strict topic or anything for the conversation that we had, but I think that that's something that in the future, like, obviously when we have a topic to go over or have a specific person we're talking to, there's going to be a heavy emphasis on a particular topic, and it'll probably like the serious half will probably be a lot more serious, and the fun half maybe we can lean more into the fun there. But yeah, I'm curious, thoughts, opinions, all that wonderful stuff, and I will catch you all the next time I stream, which will be like I don't know, probably Friday or something. But yeah, big peace to y'all, and I'll catch you all next time. Just one little thing before I go, which is to tell you, that like there's this thing you might want to consider, which is hydrate or dihydrate. Goodbye.
Stop right there, criminal scum!
Blow it out your ass.
Then pay with your blood!